Domo, welcome everybody. Today we are going to try some more yandere games. Will they be a hit? Will they be a miss? I don't know. We're gonna have to find out. But yes, Domo Ikejo, good morning to yous, and good morning to yous, that CR dude. So yeah, so I've got 2 games that I downloaded that will try out. Yeah, it's yandere or yande don't. Like, Perfect Love was fantastic. The Mind by Mind one, I was like, well, this isn't really yandere though. Yeah, like Perfect Love was yandere, and then Mind by Mind was yande don't. Great metaphor for anxiety, but not really yandere. But that's just my criticism. This one though, I'm pretty sure it's yandere because it's about a guy breaking up and he just ain't over you. So maybe we'll have better luck with this one. This one's got multiple endings. Branching off based off how nice or mean you are. So we'll try different options and see what happens. Nellie's throat stung as she gulped the cold dawn air. Her arms were shaking. The muscles ached so much that she struggled to grasp the handles. The haggard squeaks from the wheels of her bike tore through the silence that permeated the dark forest. She choked for breath around the small flashlight clenched between her teeth. The light was modest, only illuminating a small patch of the road directly in front of her bike. She needed to hurry. The sun was already starting to rise. It was okay, there was only 3 left. Nellie drove her heel down, pedaling with renewed vigor. She raised herself from the seat, leaning over the handles of the bike as she frantically turned the pedals, going faster and faster and faster until... Snap. Oof. Terror ripped through Nellie as she was flung over the handles of her bike. She instinctively covered her face with her arm before she hit the ground. Her shoulder smacked against the concrete, and a jolt of pain tore through the right side of her body. For a moment, she lay on the road, trying to steady her achy breaths as the throbbing pain subsided into a dull ache. Yeah, we're getting violent fast this time. It's like our bike just caused us to wipe out. As soon as her head stopped spinning, she forced herself up on her elbows. She rotated her shoulder. It still hurt, but she could move it without any issues. Her knees and arms stung too. At first, she was going to check them for injuries, but then she stopped herself. She got up on her knees and looked around, squinting in an attempt to pierce the murkiness of the early dawn light. Heart pounding, she patted the ground all around her. She found it. She breathed a sigh of relief. The yellow bag had fallen off to the side. She pulled it closer and examined it closely. The zipper was shut tight. Everything was still inside. She slung the bag back over her shoulder, retrieved the fallen flashlight before returning her attention to her bike. It collapsed on its side, wheels still spinning. The chain had come undone, draped over the ground like a dead snake. She picked up the chain. It was strangely slack.
Nellie.
Oh? She looked up. Cold tingles down her neck and through her spine, sending a chill running all the way to her fingers and toes. He's got a little spider on his jacket. Raku was standing over her. Rakuo Kumode. Kumode. I'm sure they'll say it out loud. Her ex-boyfriend! Uh-oh. Yeah, I wonder who broke our brakes. The tall young man peered down at her with curious, icy eyes from under the fringe of his badly dyed hair. Oh, so it's not anime hair. Cool, gotcha. What was he doing here? How could he be here? Right now at this exact moment. Right when she would have done anything to avoid seeing him. Yep, here's our Yan Yan.
What are you doing here?
Well, let me see. Where can I... Ah! There we go. None of your business.
That's none of your business, is it?
Ooh, we have a voice. Oh my god. Is this another manifestation of our anxiety? No, I think he's real this time. Like, I'm pretty sure this one's real. And not some metaphor.
Right.
He sheepishly rubbed the back of his neck.
I was out for a walk myself. Drank too many energy drinks to power through the night, so I'm trying to burn off some of the caffeine.
Yeah, a little too real. Yeah, he just showed up so conveniently. It's like he was waiting for us to fall on our bike. Yeah, can't self-insert. Immersion ruined. We can't choose our name or anything. His voice trailed off.
Anyway, are you alright? Fell off your bike?
He extended a hand. Nellie didn't take it. She stood up and slung the bag around her shoulder again, ignoring the mud and twigs stuck to her raincoat. Raku smiled awkwardly and retracted the hand before kneeling by her
Your
bike.
chain. Ah, it's broken.
Yeah, no shit.
What?
Raku picked up the broken ends of the chain and waved him around.
Don't think you'll be able to ride it for a while, unfortunately.
Well, darn, whatever will I do?
You're heading home, right? Me too. I'll walk with you.
Nellie's voice caught in her throat. She tried to think of some excuse, anything that she could blurt out to make him go away, but she couldn't think of anything. Like, yeah, definitely not. Like, nope, nuh-uh, totally not suspicious. Nope, nope, nope. Raku's face softened with a melancholic expression. He hit him with the bike, just like, run away!
We don't have to talk. I just don't want to leave you alone out here. Not after what happened to Sana.
What happened to Sana? Nellie bit her lip. Sana, her roommate and her best friend since middle school, had vanished 3 months ago. A week later, her body was found at the bottom of a cliff in this very forest, mangled beyond recognition. Huh. A tragic hiking accident. Huh. I'm fine.
I'm fine. I don't need you to escort me.
Yeah, the Wendigos got to her. Raku
I'm
frowned.
sorry, but I can't abandon you here knowing your bike's broken. I don't care if you hate me. Just let me walk with you.
Raku extended a hand.
Want me to carry the bag for you?
No.
No. Nellie jerked away. Say nothing. She held the bag close. He didn't respond. Instead, he placed both hands on the bike handles and started to walk it down the road. To Nellie's relief, Raku stayed true to his word. Normally, he was quite talkative, rambling to her about whatever nerdy hobby captivated him that week. Now he didn't say a word. Ah, so he dyed his hair to be like one of them cool anime boys. Gotcha. Got them frosted tips. In fact, he was barely looking at her. He just continued walking, only casting an occasional glance at Nellie to make sure he was walking at her pace. Oh, Domo Jade Bun Bun, welcome. Thank you so much for the raid. Welcome just in time for Yandere Boys today. Give you a shout out. There you go. Yes, welcome, Raiders. I am Bloody Daloon, Kitsune Hunter / Animal Tamer, and today we are playing Yandere games. Yes, Domo Normal Pizza, welcome, hello. Alright, I got it. I have this window small. But yeah, I hope you had a good stream. Hope you had a good time with the Digimons. So yeah, if you like some yanderes, kick back, relax, and enjoy the show. You gotta eat or pee or whatever, that's cool too. When she was certain that he wasn't looking, Nellie peeked at her ex-boyfriend out of the corner of her eye. Yeah, so to recap, we were just riding our bike down the road when it suddenly broke, and we just so happened to have run into our ex-boyfriend, and he's like, yeah, let me walk with you through the woods so you don't wind up like your best friend who mysteriously died from mysteriously falling off a cliff because of a quote-unquote accident. So, you know. It's like, Ohio gozai evening blinyoy. Yeah. The dark circles under his eyes were as dark as ever, permanently tattooed reminders of his horrific sleeping habits. They stood out darkly against the anemic pallor of his skin. Digimon was fun. Forgot how long and repetitive some could be. Yeah, I heard that's kind of the problem with the Digimon games is that they're grindy. Yeah, Domo Jasmine, welcome. Yeah, it's like, wow, what a coincidence. Yeah, that boy it looks like he's about to tell his friends not to come to school. And he dyed his hair apparently. He's trying to look like one of them enemy boys. Domo Bluebird, welcome. I'll stretch while I'm reading this. He was usually on the paler side, but he looked even more sickly than normal. Maybe he hadn't been getting enough sleep? Other students at their university use copious amounts of caffeine to fuel last-minute homework assignments or late night cram sessions. Or stretch. But Nelly knew better. And then I'll hydrate. You knew you liked the anime, so he was trying to fit your preference. Yeah, right? Nah, dyed hair's fine. I'm just goofing. Raku had definitely stayed up all night, raiding with his guild and his latest MMORPG addiction, akin to online. Not related to Sonic in any way. Yeah, he's a gamer. He conscripted her on a few occasions, giving her precise instructions on what buttons to press while he ran to the bathroom. Those probably should have been bitter memories, but strangely enough, Nellie didn't hate those evenings. She would lay on his bed, planting turnips and petting cows on her handheld console. And once in a while, he would turn to her and grumble about a lackadaisical teammate or celebrate a particular close call. Ah, yes, the traditional parallel play. Like, she was an animal, she was a Harvest Moon girl, and he was an MMORPG boy. Yeah, it's like you've heard of Jeff the Killer, now it's time for Joji to kill her. What if it's not dying hair is actually a new species of sentient hair? Yeah, maybe. Maybe it's the worms. The worms are back. Ah. She wondered if his raids went well. He had complained about terrible drops for the last 2 months. Did he finally get that item he wanted? Yeah, it's like he is blending with the background quite a bit. Yeah, hair worms. Yum. Yeah, it's like, we were both gamers. Can it be any more obvious? Something hit her face. She reached up and wiped the teardrop trickling down her forehead. But as soon as she did that, another droplet hit her face, and then another. And another. The almost Shadowbed, welcome. Thanks for the raid as well. Hope you had a good stream too. Unless you're doing that silly thing where you pretend to raid. But I hope everyone's having a good Saturday regardless. Yeah. It's like limited palettes do seem to be the theme. Oh, well, if there's a game in there, then there's a game in there. Ah, so you were playing with your brother. Okay, cool. Yeah, it's Viking night. All the raiding. Soon a torrent of water was assaulting them. Nellie drew her hood over her head, guarded from the onslaught of her raincoat. Raku wasn't nearly so lucky.
Over there!
Oh, hey, it's the thing from the title screen. He grabbed her hand, ushering her to an old bus stop at the side of the road. When they entered, Raku wheeled the bike inside, leaning it against the back wall.
Lucky. Glad this was here.
He wiped his face with his sleeve and ran a hand through his hair, flicking some of the water out. I'm doing good, thank you, Shadow Man. I hope you are doing good as well. Yeah, there's English voice lines, which is very convenient.
You were even luckier, though.
Hmm? What do you mean?
Even the character we're playing as Nellie has voices. Yeah, it's like, I guess Digimon's Japanese. He pointed at her coat.
I'm surprised you thought to wear a raincoat. Rain wasn't anywhere on the weather forecast this morning.
Like, boy, is that ominous. You just work on a stream, as said, but also struggle with YouTube. Yeah.
It was kind of humid, so...
You could only verify 2 channels per year. Huh, that is weird. Yeah, unfortunately, Pokemon is basically the butt monkey. Yeah, it kind of is. It kind of lost that race. Yeah, it is weird that it's like per year. I don't know. Rocco seemed to accept the explanation. He leaned the bike to the side and looked around the inside of the bus
I
stop.
wonder if the buses still come to this stop. There's no sign.
No, it's not, but I just imagined the meme of the guys. They had to get their love being like, can you let me in? Yeah, and the Pokemon games haven't been doing much either, but you know, everyone's got their opinion on that. Took his phone out of the pocket of his jeans and wiped it on his sweatshirt before thumbing through the Maps app.
No reception. Can't load anything.
They make it look like it's raining. It's like, have the guy with the hose make it look like it's raining when it's really not. He squinted at the stormy gray sky. Oh, yeah. Uploading your YouTube VODs to Twitch. I do that too. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that's why I'm hoping that with Pokemon, the upcoming games at least get better.
Maybe it'll stop soon. No choice but to wait.
Like, at least bump up the heckin' graphics. Non-verified can only post 15 minutes. Oh, yeah, that, right. Yeah, mine's all verified and good to go. Yeah, exactly. If you still find the Pokemon games fun, that's all good and dandy, but it's like, you gotta admit Pokemon's kind of falling behind compared to the competition. He plopped himself on the bench, crossing his legs and leaning his elbow on his knee. Yeah, I'm also praying for ZA to be good. Yeah, it's like in Pokemon. Pokemon needs voice acting, I think. I feel like Pokemon has reached a point where it needs voice acting. Nellie chewed her thumb, glaring at the raindrops falling around them. Should she leave? But if she did that, he might be suspicious. And she couldn't abandon her bike here. Her bag wasn't waterproof either. She brushed off the bench and sat down too. Rocker tried to hide a smile. He rubbed the back of his neck and looked all around the inside of the bus stop. His gaze straying to every nook and cranny before finally landing on Nellie.
So, what have you been up to lately?
Nothing much. Working on my thesis.
Does it? Rocco dared to shoot a glance in Nellie's direction, but her stony face extinguished any hope that he might prolong the conversation. He looked away, biting his lower lip in resignation. Like, yeah, we're cool and cool. We ice cold. Nah, I'm sure you'll figure it out, Shadow Man. Yeah, it's like that. I only have like one channel. I just dump everything on one channel right now, but it probably is better in the long run to have multiple channels, honestly. Yeah, they split into 2 teams. Yeah, having teams would be helpful. Yeah, he do be looking demonic, don't he?
Hey.
It's like, Rocco boy. He's a dark elf. Yeah, it's like something about him just ain't right.
You're hurt.
Oops, I didn't read that. He looked her up and down, furrows browing, scrutinizing the mud on her leggings and raincoat. Nellie shrank under his attentive appraisal. Okay, there we go.
Huh?
She looked down. As she sat on the bench, the raincoat was pulled up, revealing her knees. Holes had been ripped on both of her leggings, exposing the skin underneath. One knee had small red patches where it had been rubbed raw against the ground. Yeah, 'cause you wiped the fuck out. Yeah, I just noticed we're hurt. I think we just realized we're hurt. Whoops. But yeah, no, that's what I mean, having multiple channels because of the algorithm. Exactly. Yeah, we have torn leggings, woo. The others had been completely skinned, blood ran down in dark crimson rivulets, staining her leggings a muddy purple. Nellie blinked. Why hadn't she felt anything? Was it the cold or the adrenaline? Yeah, now he's staring at our knees. Raku knelt by her knees and rummaged around in his inner jacket pocket, fishing out a white handkerchief. He wiped the blood that was trickling down her leg before diverting his attention to the wound. He doubted at first, carefully wiping the exposed flesh. Yeah, at least he's not looking at her shoulders. Scandalous. Maybe he is a vampire. We'll find out. Her ex-boyfriend had, unfortunately, spent all of his skill points in his academic smarts, coding skills, and gaming prowess. He was sorely lacking in most of life's necessary abilities. There was always a 50% chance that his toast would emerge completely charred. Sir, just turn down the dial. Yeah, not holding hands. He kept his papers in haphazardly organized piles on the floor. Somehow he even managed to sew an entire shirt sleeve shut while attempting to reattach a button. The button was sadly not attached. Yeah, he's basically boy failure. But he was always meticulous. No matter how small the task, Raku expended 120% effort. Just like me, for real, for real. He would fuss for an hour while reducing a cream sauce to the perfect consistency. When he did her laundry, he carefully smoothed out every wrinkle. Making under a game where the twist is that the dude is a dark elf wants to steal your toenail clippings. Like, what if he liked to eat them? Because they're so crunchy. And what if you had athlete's foot and he likes that because it adds flavor? Oh, God. When she went out of town and asked him to take care of her cat, he prepared a spreadsheet with her detailing every aspect of the pet's care. Oh, so this is what we look like. Cool. Yeah, their priority isn't graphics, it's content of gameplay. And 1,000 Pokemon. Yeah! But it's like, I get that they want to be within budget, but the thing is, they have more budget than they're actually using. But making a ship out of toenails is an actual thing? Oh, well. Well, yeah, go with that then, yeah. Alright, as she watched him painstakingly try to remove every speck of dirt from her scraped knee, those little memories floated through Nellie's head, refusing to leave no matter how hard she tried to push them away. Her mind was foggy and her heart tightened.
Does it hurt? Unfortunately, all I have is this. Shoot, I wish we were at home. This needs to be cleaned with ethanol. Does that hurt? Tell me if it hurts.
I'm fine.
Yeah, we cute. It's like our hair be all frayed because of the humidity and the wood. Yeah, there is the anime. Her knee didn't hurt, but the sight Sid, Raku kneeling next to her, worrying and tending to her scrapes and bruises. They had broken up. She should have been a stranger to him. Less than a stranger. Raku tied the handkerchief around the scrape, making sure that it wasn't too tight.
How's that? Okay?
It's fine.
She swallowed. The lump in her throat bobbed in place, refusing to disappear.
Somehow the blood got on the outside of your coat, too. Not a lot, though.
Yeah, it's like, we be bleeding quite a bit, aren't we? The Dark Elf flagship Naga Ferry is collecting construction from dead who were buried without having their nails first. Ragnarok begins. Ah, so there you go. It's like I must collect your toenails, my love, so we can start the apocalypse and end the world. He scrubbed a few spots on the bottom of the raincoat. How long have we been broken up with Anime Dude? I don't think it's said yet. I just know we're broken up. He gave her a coat one last swipe with the handkerchief before getting up and returning to his seat.
I'm sorry. I didn't notice you were yandere.
Yeah, it is very on today. Toenails for the apocalypse!
I said it's okay.
They stewed in silence for around 10 minutes, but as they sat, Nelly could tell that Raku was growing increasingly tense. His leg bounced as he chewed on his lip. Finally, he turned towards her.
Nellie, can we talk?
Why? Here it was. He wanted to talk. Of course he did. They had dated for almost a year and a half. They had even discussed our future plans together. Okay, so we dated him for like almost a year and a half. If Rocco had sent her a text out of the blue saying, I'm breaking up with you, then she would have had questions too. Yeah, it's like he does look like Chef the Killer. And fingernails, yeah. She didn't want to talk or explain, which is why she had avoided him for 2 weeks after sending the text. Yeah, she speaks for forever, like, yeah, after college we're gonna get married and have 2.5 kids and a dog. She eluded him very, very successfully, until this moment, that is.
Was it something I did? Did I do something wrong?
The fingerprints of Bel Air. Ooh. You're suffocating.
You're suffocating. You never give me any space or time for myself.
What?
Always asking to eat meals together, or picking me up after class and work, or waiting in the library when I'm in lab.
It's like, yeah, he probably did kill our best friend. Yeah, I think the Switch 2 will probably help a lot, because that is also very limiting. Yeah, he's a very clingy
This is the
boy.
first time I've heard this. I didn't know you felt that way. I just wanted to spend time with you, Nellie. We're both so busy with our theses and tutoring, and you've got your job at the library. I wanted to take every opportunity to see you.
Oh boy.
I can change that. I'll wait until you want to spend time together. We were talking about moving in together a month ago. I don't understand how your feelings change so quickly.
Ah, so it's like, we broke up pretty recently.
They just did.
She looked down and twisted her fingers together. She hesitated to say anything further. It felt like she was standing on the edge of precipice, and a single word would send her tumbling into the abyss. Yeah, it's like, why didn't she tell him she wanted space? Yeah, it's like, it's an upgrade, but not like a huge one. But I'm not, it's like, at least it'll run better. I'm hoping for less lag. Yeah, it's like, aside from all the clinginess and possible friend murder, you know, he's just fine.
Is it because of what I did to Ji-hoon? Because I didn't apologize?
What'd you do to Ji-hoon? Who's Ji-hoon? He gritted his teeth.
You know why I did it. You heard all those things he was saying about Sana. Insisting that she was addicted to social media, saying she probably fell because she was trying to take a cute selfie with the sunrise. How could he say that? About his own girlfriend. He deserved more than one punch.
Yeah, it kind of sounds like he did. Nellie's mouth tightened. She wanted to protest, to say that wasn't it. In reality, Raku's outburst had been gratifying. At the memorial, she sat in silence, trying to ignore Jin-hoon's prattle so that she could focus on honoring Sana. The seconds felt like grueling hours. She wanted to sew Jin-hoon's mouth shut. It's like, one punch! It's like, yeah, this could be Korean-inspired. I don't know. We'll find out. When Raku finally hit him, it felt as if Raku had taken all of her bubbling indignation and anger and shoved it in Jin-hoon's face. Let's see. Stay silent.
When I asked for your number the first time, I didn't really think you'd give it to me. After all, you're you. And
Yeah, it could just
I'm
be a Korean character.
me.
We got Raku, we got
I
Nellie.
didn't think I had a shot with you.
Yeah, the girl dies in an accident. The BF talks shit about. Yeah, it's like, he deserved to be punched. Like, dude, really?
But I had to ask. I would have cursed myself if I didn't even try. And you gave it to me. And then you said yes when I asked you out for lunch. And then you kept saying yes. I was so happy. But I also thought that maybe you just viewed me as your gaming friend. So I asked, is this a date? And then you laughed and said, of course it's a date. At that moment, I felt this pang in my chest.
Really? How young is your audience to not know about Mario Kart? But no, it's like, the Nintendo Switch Online has some good retro games. It's like, I've streamed some of them myself, like Banjo-Kazooie.
I realized something. All of the messy, revolting things that had happened up until that point. The vile vulgarity of my own existence. It was because I had already spent all the luck I had in this lifetime to meet you.
Oh, I see, so romantic. Well, if you like your collectathons, Banjo will do it. But yeah, I streamed Paper Mario not that long ago. And it's like, I did it because I know 1,000 Year Door is out, and I do want to play that, so I was like, yeah.
I had never met anyone like you before. Even though life hasn't been kind to you, you always find room in your heart to be kind to others. People, plants, animals.
Wow, we're so nice. Too bad I'm picking, like, the most evil options.
Even something as little and creepy and disgusting as an insect. I still remember when you found a spider
I
in your
like
apartment.
bugs!
Not a small one either. It was perched on the wall above your bed, barely holding on with 3 broken legs.
Yeah, I wouldn't know anything about Black Ops.
You reached out and caught it in your hands. It would have been so easy to squish it right then and there, but you didn't. You opened the window and let it go.
Wow, Nelly just like me, for real, for real. I've actually done that. On multiple occasions. Though, sometimes Taffy beats me to it and winds up eating it. In which case, survival of the fittest.
At that moment, I knew you were special. Really special.
I'm so special. And nice people doesn't mean gullible and stupid. It's like, yeah, no, you could be nice and smart, but you could also be mean and dumb.
I don't remember that at all. Did I do that?
You remember how many breads you've eaten in your life? Raku laughed.
You did. I guess you wouldn't remember. It was such a small thing. But I remembered.
Yeah, 300 gigabytes is ridiculous. They gotta make that smaller. Raku turned towards Nellie and slowly extended her arms around her. She stiffened slightly, but she didn't push him away.
You know how you go through life, and you meet all these different people, but none of them really know you. You'll meet and you'll talk about what movie just came out, or what assignment is due next in class, or what food they're serving in the cafeteria.
You live in that telltale life. Yeah.
But you can never tell them about the real you. It's like you brush together for a second, and then the next, you're each going your separate ways. And when you stop taking classes together, or you move away, you never see those people again.
Are we gonna get a Wolf Among Us too? It's like, yeah, with Telltale gone.
And your life isn't any different in the end, because they didn't really know you.
All around me are familiar faces.
But you're different, Nellie. You know me. In some ways, you know me better than my closest friends, and even my family. You know things about me that I can never tell anyone else.
Like, yeah, but like, I gave you the codes to my favorite hentais. Yeah, I did hear all about Telltale and how they fell off. It's like R.I.P.
And if I couldn't
Domo
see
Deadly
you
Kiwi,
anymore,
welcome.
then my life would be different. There would be a big, gaping hole where you used to be.
You dumb whale, stubby sissy whale. I would not be surprised if you would say that.
Losing you terrifies me. I'm afraid that no one else would be able to know me the way you do. That I won't be able to open up to anyone else the way I opened up to you.
It's alright, I chose to read that.
And I don't want anyone else to know me the way you do, because they wouldn't be you.
I didn't know you felt that way about me.
It's like, yeah, you really like me a lot. Wow! Because I'm so special. When Nellie didn't resist, Raku pulled her tighter, whispering in her ear.
I don't want to break up. I love you, Nellie. I never want to love anyone but you. You don't feel the same? Not at all?
Nellie stayed silent, but she unconsciously leaned into Raku's hold. When her friends talked about their childhood, Nellie couldn't relate. When they reminisced, they brought up their childhood cartoon. Yeah. They brought up their beloved childhood cartoons, their favorite vacations, and their cherished family pets. Well, he is the yandere of this game, so, yeah. It's like, I don't think our ex is ready to let us go. I think he's ready to make sure we stay with him forever. We drink to forget. Nellie didn't have any memories of any of those things. Oh. Instead, all she remembered was the constant yelling, the embarrassment when she couldn't afford lunch, the fear as she huddled under the covers, never at home even in her own house, the relief when her father went out one day and never returned. Ah, so Nellie had bad childhood. Sometimes she talked to Sana, and Sana tried her best. She listened to Nod and said, I understand completely. But that was a lie. They were simply some things that Nellie's best friend couldn't understand. Oh, so they're under new management, so they're working on it. Alright, well that's something at least. Thelma Lemon Juice, welcome. How have you fallen? What happened? Can you get up? Well, fallen and I can't get up. All Sonic could offer was comforting words. That's rough, buddy. That's horrible. I can't believe that happened. As if Nellie's favorite television show had been canceled, or she cracked her phone screen and she got an D on her latest exam. Oh, you're no longer girl-free? Congratulations, or my condolences. I don't know what you want. It wasn't Sana's fault, but it didn't make Nellie feel any better. Eventually, Nellie stopped talking about her altogether. That changed when she met Raku. It wasn't some dramatic encounter. They were standing in line at the library, both waiting to check out a couple books. Raku noticed the keychain hanging from her backpack. A small white and blue pixel art spaceship from Space Blasters. When they reached the front of the line and Nellie handed the librarian her books, they were still excitedly chatting about their favorite retro games. She promised to lend Raku one of her cartridges and they exchanged contacts. Like, things sort of happened, you're just supposed to go on a drive. Like, yeah, I just went on a drive and I picked up a new girl. Well, it's pee-pee time. Nellie didn't talk about herself at first. They talked, of course, but it was usually about their shared hobbies. They liked different genres and played in different ways. Raku fancied punishing difficulty and expansive exploration, while Nellie preferred methodically leveling her characters with optimized strategies. Still, they had plenty in common. Yeah, they shut down midway through The Walking Dead. Yeah, I heard about that. They finished it for them, but ever since they hadn't made games. Yeah, so they at least finished what they were working on. Like, I need a new bottle of whiskey. This one grew hair. Yeah, no, I bought this one. This one's a pre-made. In my About Me thing, I have the credits and everything. It adds character. Hair of dog, eye of newt. When the conversation veered too personal, Nellie drove back into the safety of benign small talk. Yet Rocco had a way of methodically tearing down her carefully constructed barriers. As they lunched on his bed, full and drowsy from eating too much cheap pizza, the words started slipping out of her mouth one by one. For Nellie, Rocco was different. When he listened to her darkest thoughts, he didn't look at her with pity, skepticism, disgust, or apathy. He looked at her with understanding, as if he had been with her every step of the way. See, that was your first mistake, was trauma dumping on the yandere boy. Raku was special. Oh boy, they're both special! That's exactly why they had to break up. Wait, what? Oh. They made only one game so far. Oh, okay. Are we also yandere? I don't know, we'll find out. Yeah, I hope Wolf Among Us 2 was good. It was a nice night? Well, I'm glad to hear it. She couldn't involve him in her life or her problems. She had to end it. Nellie wormed her hands between their bodies and pushed Rocco away, forcefully. Yeah, maybe he wasn't a yandere boy. Well, after this one, since this one's short, we're gonna play the prequel as well. And I think he's in the prequel, so we'll find out. Anyway, we're gonna make a save here as well, because we're about to get to the endings. There's multiple endings. So we're gonna start off by being an asshole.
You never want to love anyone but me. What sappy dramas have you been watching? You're acting like a child. Wake up. This isn't some fantasy. People break up. It happens all the time.
Yeah, I get to see his yandere arc.
So that's it? It's over? Just like that?
Nellie's voice was resolute.
It's over.
It's Jover!
It's over.
Dorito.
It's over. It's over.
It's over, isn't it? Every time he repeated himself, his face darkened.
Even though I've loved you for years. Even
It's
though I
over.
loved you this much.
A wizard with a gun? That sounds familiar. He lowered his head, dragging a hand through his hair as he turned away from her. He returned to the other side of the bus stop, leaning one head heavily against the wall as raindrops dampened his worn-out orange sneakers. Yeah, it's Jover, said Nellie, as then she blew an air horn in his face. Nellie thought about responding. She considered spouting a few words of comfort, reassuring her ex-boyfriend with some cliche lines. It's not you, it's not me, I'm not good enough for you, blah, 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 blah. She was his first serious girlfriend. He had told her as much. He had never experienced heartbreak. He was a child crying over his first scraped knee, acting like his leg had been amputated without anesthesia. It's like, no, Jada, that you should be, yeah, you should be used to my yaoi mode. She reconsidered and decided to stay silent. It was better if he believed that she was cruel and callous. After weeks of sad gaming sessions and angry rants to his friends, he would probably forget about her altogether. Besides, she wouldn't worry about him right now. She had bigger problems at hand. We rated... yeah, it's like we rated each other. It's like it was rateception. Besides, she wouldn't worry about him right now. She had bigger problems at hand. Has it been months? It's like, it feels like a week ago to me. I don't know. Yeah, rated the cousin Gutsy the Loon. Booted the butt. He straightened. When he stood in front of her again, there was something different about his expression. Something colder, more resolute, as if he had made some sort of decision during his morose period of introspection.
I heard about you and Ji-hoon. I've seen you two around.
Wait. Prickles ran up Nellie's spine.
What about it? Are you going to start policing who I spend time with? I don't see how that's any business of yours.
You better not be implying what I think you're implying.
People have been talking, saying that you took advantage of your best friend's death to cozy up to her rich boyfriend.
What? No.
They said that you two spent a lot of time together, that you went to his house on Friday.
Yeah, as long as you catch up on your sleep, that's all good. Like, yeah, it's like lemon juice. Tuck Jade Bun Bun to bed. Give him some hot cocoa and a blankie and a stuffed animal.
Is that why you broke up with me? Because you wanted to get together with Ji-hoon? Do you love him?
Her in love with Ji-hoon? The very thought made Nellie want to vomit. She'd rather date an insect. No, we fucking hate the guy! It's all made up. It's just a booba! Like, I doubt...
I don't.
Then, is it someone else?
It's Korean. She didn't want to lie, but if she stayed quiet, then maybe Raku would come to his own conclusion and drop the matter. Yeah, you've actually managed to stay awake, Cosmic. I don't know how. Why Koreans? Because... yes.
What am I supposed to do? What can I say? I don't want to lose you.
His voice was soft and quiet. Almost pitiful.
For me, a world with only you is enough, Nellie. I only need you. No matter who you are, or what you've done. You don't need me. You don't even want me.
No. Nellie opened her mouth to respond, but no words came out. She simply stared at Raku's face, eyes widening. When she finally responded, she didn't say the words that she had intended to say.
What are you?
Domo time room gecko, welcome. It is I, Manly Daloon. Raku reached up and touched his face, tracing his fingers over his eyebrow ridge, along his mouth and down his chin.
No, I got a little worked up. Wait.
Nellie leaned back on her elbows and booted Raku square in the chest. He coughed as the air was knocked from his lungs, landing hard in a puddle on the concrete. Yeah, summon your inner low tier god. I'm happy to work with me no longer abusing out, but book stuff prevents me from focusing on work. Yeah, how is your book coming along? Yeah, it's a puddle. She broke off into a run down. She broke into a run down the road. She left her bike at the bus stop, but she didn't care. The only thought in her head was, run, 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 and I'll hydrate. Yeah, I don't know. We'll find out. The raindrops pelted her face painfully, but she didn't stop to put her hood up. Every time her energy started to wane and her pace slowed, the image of Raku's face flashed under her eyelids and she ran faster. After she had sprinted for 20 minutes, she dared to glance behind her. He wasn't following. She inhaled and turned her gaze to the front. Raku was waiting in front of her. He stood off the side of the road, inclined against a tree trunk, with his arms crossed, staring at her with the specter of a smirk teasing his lips. Nellie ground to a halt. Her eyes darted to the forest on either side and then back the way she had come. Oh boy, is it chasing time?
Nellie, wait. Let's talk.
Nellie took her bag off and pelted it at Raku. It hammered him in the chest, knocking him slightly off balance. As he held it, he looked at it curiously, giving her the opportunity to dash into the woods into the night. It was a lot more difficult to traverse the dense forest with its maze of trees and bushes, but Nellie doubted that her speed mattered. He had managed to get in front of her after all. How had he managed that? He was more athletic than his appearance would suggest, but... Alright, rest well, Shadow Man. Thanks for stopping by. She squeezed her eyes shut to dispel the unnecessary thought and reached forward to part the foliage so that she would pass. She winced at the brambles caught on her exposed skin. She couldn't keep running like this. Yeah, but if you want to just kick him... Yeah, it's like, just kick him in the dishpan. Woo hoo hoo. Yeah, I think it's about the morp. She checked that Rocco was nowhere to be seen before maneuvering to a to a large fallen tree trunk, covered in a blanket of moss and shelf mushrooms. She laid down next to it, flattening her stomach against the damp ground and making sure that the nearby ferns obscured her form. It's Morbin time. Yeah, it's like, yeah, kick him a couple more times. She pulled her hood over her head and she waited. Could he hear her? Could he smell her? Every once in a while, she heard a soft rustle, but it was so quiet and transient that she figured it had to be the wind. She checked her phone. 2 hours had passed. She decided to wait a little longer. But this time her leggings were completely drenched, and she was shivering uncontrollably. It had been hours since she had last heard a sound. Surely he was gone by now. She peeked over the top of the tree trunk. There was no one in sight. Yeah, it's like, yeah, break his shin. You only see endless green vegetation peppered among the sea of trees, glimmering from the rays of sunlight peering through the treetops. She got up, letting down her hood and shaking the raindrops from her jacket. It would take her hours to get back to town. It was probably a bad idea to go back to her apartment right away. She needed something to defend herself. Pepper spray? Bear spray? Vinegar? She'd heard that peppermint was effective, but would it even work against him? Yeah, it's like, if you want to keep a guy away from you, just unhinge your jaw like a snake. Her flashlight was in the bag that she had used as an improvised projectile. She fished her phone from her pocket. She would need the light to make it back in the dark and couldn't risk draining the battery before nightfall. As Ellie turned off her phone, she didn't pay attention to where she was putting her hands. She looked at her right hand. She leaned against a nearby tree trunk to steady herself as she navigated a tangle of roots underfoot. However, when she tried to lift her hand off, it didn't detach. It's like, but we'll be digesting him. He'll go away eventually. As poop. Her fingers were adhered to the bark by some kind of sticky substance. She put her phone in her pocket and tried to pry her right hand free with her left. Book stuff is going, 50% done. Have some beta readers probably be back. Alright, cool. Progress being made. Awesome. When it didn't loosen, she placed her foot against the tree trunk and attempted to use it as leverage to force herself free. She's gonna lose so much skin from doing that. Yeah, she got glue trapped. Her foot slipped in the damp, slimy bark and her legs fell out from under her. She landed hard on her elbows, barely avoiding slamming her chin against the ground.
What?
Her feet were bound together by some sticky, gold-tinged transparent threads. She flipped over on her back and reached over, tugging at the bonds, but to no avail. They clung to her boots and fingers like glue, refusing to detach. As she looked around, she saw that those yellow fibers were everywhere, blanketed over the ground, strung between the treetops, and strewn over the bushes. Yeah, I think he might be a spooter. The threads were thin and delicate, only visible when the sunlight glistened off the droplets that clung to them.
And there you are. I was waiting long enough for you to come out.
Ah, there he is. As Rocco approached, the gossamer filaments shook slightly, sending a drizzle of raindrops falling onto the forest floor. He appraised her with an inscrutable expression. He sighed.
You're soaked. You'll catch a cold. Let's go home.
I'm not going anywhere with you.
Stranger danger. He thumbed one of the golden threads, strumming it like the string of a guitar.
At first I thought that Ji-hoon was the problem. All I had to do was get rid of him. And then you'd come back to me.
Here he is, Mr. Spider Yandere.
But then I realized that I was wrong. He wasn't the problem. There are always going to be Ji-hoons in the world. Other distractions.
Yeah, it's like, here he goes.
How can I stop you from looking at them? How can I make you only look at me? The answer was surprisingly simple. I need to make a world where there aren't any distractions.
He leaned close, his voice eerily serene.
A world for just the two of us.
Just the two of us. If I make a world where you only have me, then surely you'll want me, right? Of course you would think this is based. Ah, yes. Well, that's one ending. Thank you for trying out Karamu. You played it once, the C and D are unlocked. If you need a hint, try and be nice to him. Yep, so that's the first of many endings. This time we'll try and be firm and see what happens.
I don't want to date you anymore. End of story. It's not a discussion.
So that's it? It's over? Just like that?
Nellie's voice was resolute. Yep, and then we fast forward. Is it gonna be the same? Yeah, this is the same, so let me try picking the other option. Because there was 3 of them, so I wanted to make sure. Be kind.
I understand how you feel, but you'll find someone else. There are plenty of people way better for you than me. You just haven't met them yet.
He's just a desperate little gamer boy, oh.
You didn't do anything wrong. I'm not ready for this kind of relationship right now.
So that's it? It's over? Just like that?
I don't.
Weird. It said that there would be another ending. I don't know which ending that was. Like, did I get A or B? It just said end. It didn't say if I got ending A or B. Oh, probably if I say you're suffocating, that probably puts me in ending B, so I do gotta go back to get the other mini ending. Wait, hold on. Yeah, so none of your
That's
business.
none of your business, is it?
Didn't take it. I'm fine.
I'm fine. I don't need you to escort me.
Yeah, it seems like if I say he's suffocating, he literally suffocates me with spider silk. At least it outright tells you. Alright, I don't need to explain
I don't
myself.
owe you
There
an
we go.
explanation. I want to break up. You should respect that.
You're not even willing to say one sentence?
No. Stay silent. And then be firm.
I don't want to date you anymore.
Now we should
End
get
of
something
story.
different.
I don't.
But she didn't stop running. There we go. Not for a second. By the time she made it back to town, it had stopped raining, and the sun was high in the sky, ready to make the trip down. As she approached her apartment building, the town was dyed in sunset hues, and the sky was beginning to dim. She sprinted to the entrance, looking behind her every so often. When she was inside, she darted up the stairs, which whined at every frantic step. Nellie went up to her apartment and fumbled her keys out of her pocket. She slammed the door shut behind her. The first thing that she did when she entered the darkened room was scoop up her cat, who sashayed up to her, meowing for attention and food. Meow. Nellie forcefully turned the lock on her door, as if the extra effort would somehow make the bolt more secure. As she checked the lock, she had a sudden chilling realization. Raku had the key to her apartment! Fuck! Nellie dropped her cat and dragged her bookshelf in front of the door. She hoped that would be enough to stop him. She didn't know. Damn! She crouched behind her bed, holding a broom with her kitchen knife, duct taped to the end. She didn't know that much about weapons, and this improvised spear was the best that she could come up with the house. And there's just a little kitty. Oh, look at him blinking. Oh, that's so cute. Oh, that's so cute. As she waited, Nellie examined the shoddy tool. Could she really use it against Raku? The Raku that brought her rice bowls when she was too tired and stressed to cook? The Raku that always seemed to know when she wanted a hug? The Raku that... Nellie gripped the shaft of the broom. She could. She could do anything to defend herself. She would do anything to defend herself. She's ready to fight, hell yeah. Bite his balls. After all, she had done it before. A couple of hours passed. Every time Nellie heard footsteps creaking in the hallway, her heart jumped, and she grabbed her makeshift weapon. But each time the footsteps faded away without approaching. Eventually, she relaxed enough to venture to the kitchen, where she opened a tin of cat food for her increasingly whiny companion. She put the contents of the yellow bag in the freezer before eating a quarter of the leftover sandwich, keeping a close eye on the door. Monday passed. Tuesday passed, too. The only visitor she received was a spider that appeared on her front door. It stayed for a while, appraising her with its curiously icy eyes. Every few hours it would change its position slightly, moving to the bedpost, the ceiling, and finally the curtain hanging over the window. Huh. Her phone buzzed, calendar reminders about her classes, message about her missed tutoring sessions. Why is he a spider now? I don't know, maybe he's Spider-Man. Emails from her lab partners and her thesis advisor. Eventually she turned her phone off altogether. On Wednesday morning, a sharp rap came from the door. Nellie huddled next to her bed, holding her cat close. She worried that the bookshelf wouldn't hold. A human voice emanated from behind the door. It wasn't Raku. Nellie Owens? This is the police. I'll definitely rescue you. Wait for me. Is it Eminem? Like, okay. Now we'll start. Now we'll be nice to him. It's like, those were the endings where we're mean to him. Now we'll be nice to him. I'm going for a bike ride.
I went for an early morning bike ride.
Really?
Still a little too dark to see clearly see his face, but Nellie could hear the skepticism in his voice. It made sense. During the year that they had dated, Nellie never used her bike for anything other than her daily 20-minute commute or the occasional shopping trip. Voluntary exercise was torture for her. This game is the balls. Yeah, I think what they're getting at is that our boyfriend is a crazy yandere spider who eats people. Yeah, his hoodie has the spider logo on it.
I'm trying to be healthier.
Oh, that's good. Me too. I was out for a walk myself. Drank too many energy drinks to power through the night, so I'm trying to burn off some of the caffeine.
Okay.
All right.
Tried to rack her brain for an excuse, but she had no good reason to say no. Rocco extended a hand.
Want me to carry the bag for you?
Well, it's heavy.
It's heavy. I don't want to bother you with it.
He didn't respond. Instead, he placed both hands on the bike handles and started to walk down the road. Fast forward! Yeah, me going back to the editing lab like, we're done when I say we're done. Ask about him.
What about you?
I'd like to say I've been working on my thesis too, but I've been occupied with a personal project.
You don't say.
Coding related?
Rocco was notoriously capricious with his interests. During the year they had been together, Nellie had seen him shovel out over a dozen small projects. Mobile apps, video games, online tools, and the like. Any small shower thought would be spun into reality within a weekend. Yeah, he's like a tech bro. He plays MMORPGs.
Something a little different this time.
A cryptic answer, but Nellie resisted the urge to probe.
Well, try not to get too distracted. But I'm sure you'll finish your thesis either way.
Like, yeah, we already broke up with him. Yeah, imagine being a spider, falling for a human, and deciding to go study and do a thesis. Yeah, right? No matter how much he procrastinated, Rocco always managed to submit his assignments on time with stellar results. It irked Ellie to no end. Rocco smiled.
I wish everyone believed in me the way you do, Nellie. Hey,
He looked her up and down, brows furrowing, scrutinizing the mud. Yeah, this is the part where he cleans her. A boo-boo. We're graduating soon.
We're graduating soon. I'll go to veterinary school. You'll probably get a job on the other side of the country. Long-distance relationships rarely work. How many years are we going to text and video chat? It's unrealistic.
you don't know that it won't work. I can find something where I can work remotely. If not, then we can still at least try. If you're willing, then I'm willing.
Are you now?
Any relationship takes effort. A long-distance one just takes a little more effort, that's all. We were talking about moving in together a month ago. I don't understand
Face
how
has
your
got.
feelings
Yeah,
change
he's a
so
little
quickly.
Dorito boy. It's not that.
It's not that.
Then why? When I asked for your number the first time, I didn't really think you'd give it to me.
Yeah, he's like, I love you so much, baby. Well, be nice.
I understand how you feel, but you'll find someone else. There are plenty of people way
Nellie
better
bit
for
her
you
lip.
than me.
Part of her
You
heart
just
wanted to
haven't met them
apologize,
yet.
but she swallowed the urge.
It's over.
It's Jover.
It's over.
Nellie twisted her hands together. Her ex-boyfriend wasn't the most emotive person. When he was amused, he expressed it through soft chuckles, not laughter. On more than one occasion, she only noticed that he was angry because he came home and pulled out a first-person shooter to play. Oh no, not the first-person shooter! He had only cried in front of her on one occasion. Nellie was lying on his chest, playing with his earrings, when Raku told her about his family, about the abuse and the inhuman expectations. She could tell he was deliberately holding back the darker details, but his expression told her enough. She nuzzled against his neck, kissed his cheek, and whispered, "You don't have to be who they want you to be. I love you no matter who they are." When he heard that, the tears started to flow. They gushed down his cheeks, effuse and unrestrained, and he pulled her in close, repeated, "Thank you over and over." How cute. I think her ex-boyfriend now strongly reminded Nellie of that evening. Raku's expression squeezed her heart painfully. She couldn't worry about him right now. She had bigger problems at hand.
We're in the same department, in a lot of the same classes. It would be stranger if we didn't spend any time together. I've been helping him with his thesis, too.
It's like they were dating for 1.5 years. I think they were pretty serious. Like, honey, would you love me as a spider? Yeah, right?
People have been talking, saying they said that you two have spent a lot of time together, that you went to his house on Friday. At first, I was devastated. I thought, of course she chose him over me. He's tall, handsome, rich, athletic. But then, I thought about it some more. After all, Ji-hoon isn't perfect. We both listen to Sana. We both know how many of his faults that she forgave. His ego, his infidelity.
Yeah, he's kind of a dick. The fact that you think that I would shack up with him makes me kind of insulted.
His temper. You're smart. Why would you choose him? And there was something else. I thought, the Nellie that I love isn't cruel. She's kind. She wouldn't break up with someone over text just so she could chase another guy. I wondered, why would she do that then? Why would she break up with me so cruelly? Cut me off without another word.
Didn't have to cut me off. I love you. I love her. The correct response is to insist you never. No! Rip.
Maybe it was because she was planning something. Something where she didn't want anyone else to get involved. Something bad.
It's like, ah, yes, real homo moments in the chat. Remember to kiss your homies goodnight.
Sana's death was always a little strange, wasn't it?
Oh, shit!
She was the most outdoorsy out of all of us. She went hiking and camping all the time. She visited these woods constantly.
Is he implying that we did it?
She was always prepared. She never went anywhere without her hiking boots. So why was she found wearing a pair of wedge heels?
Nani?
And she fell off a cliff trying to take a selfie? That Sana? The Sana that only uploaded pictures of food and blurry photos of your cat?
Raku's eyes glimmered.
Do you remember when Sana fractured her ankle? She couldn't walk properly for weeks. She said that she accidentally fell down the stairs when she and Ji-hoon were fighting. I wondered if that happened often. Sana accidentally tumbling down the stairs during fights with her boyfriend.
Wait, did the boyfriend murder her then? Who killed Sana? What happened?
Maybe on the night of her disappearance, she accidentally fell again. But this time, it wasn't down the stairs. It was over the railing. You've seen the stairs in the Kang family mansion. If you dropped head first over the railing onto that pristine marble floor, you'd never wake up again. Ji-hoon's standing over the body. He's the Kang family prince. He can't be involved in something like this. His life would be ruined. So he takes her body to a cliff near the house and drops her off it. She didn't die at his mansion. She died while hiking by herself. Too easy.
So the boyfriend did it. Whew, so it's good that he fucking butchered him. Whew.
After that, all he had to do was ask a few of his friends to cover for him. They're too eager to lie to suck up to the Kang heir. But there was one snag in his plan. Sana's best friend, who couldn't stop crying for over a month after she was found, who was too familiar with the kind of guy Ji-hoon really was, who knew where Sana was the night she disappeared, because they were roommates who texted each other about everything.
Yeah, we must have been trying to figure out what happened. Yeah, have fun, lemon juice.
The best friend was suspicious. She wanted to know the truth. So she broke up with her poor boyfriend and got close to Ji-hoon instead. It wouldn't have been difficult to get an invite to his house. Maybe Ji-hoon even offered.
Like,
Why don't you come
we
pick
were
up
roommates.
Sana's belongings? She left some things at my place. And then something unexpected happened. A plot twist, if you will.
Raku leaned a little closer, sweeping his eyes over Nellie.
You know, something has been bothering me for a while now. Something smells. At first I thought it was your knee, but that's not quite right, is it?
Was it us? Were we really the yandere the whole time? Oh my god.
The stench is too strong for that.
It's like did we kill them? Did we? Oh my god. What have we done? He breathed in heavily and exhaled with a contented sigh.
What is that odor? A little sweet, slightly metallic.
Yeah, I think that is why they came to our house. I'll check my posture in a second. I'm choking a little bit. One second. Yeah, that's why we were wiped out. Damn, what a twist. Okay.
It smells delicious.
Alright. His glassy eyes glittered under his stringy blue-tinged bangs, boring holes into the spots lying in Nellie's lap.
What's in the bag, Nellie?
Things? He knows. Stab! He knows! He knows everything! I need to stop him before he tells anyone. Her mind was blank. She didn't think. She just unzipped her bag and pulled her hand inside. Yeah, we're gonna murder him. Rocco was still staring at her face, eyes completely unblinking. Yes, big kitty. I don't know where Kitty even is. Yeah, comfort cat, exactly. Nellie flicked her head to the side. Raku followed her gaze, momentarily distracted. Took the opportunity to whip the knife from the bag. Oh, that explains why in ending A, she was like, could I stab Raku? And then it casually said it wouldn't be the first time. Like, they basically stated, it's like, that was foreshadowing this. Oh my god. She tackled him from below, shoving her shoulder into his chest as she buried the weapon in his gut. A choked gurgle emerged from Raku's throat. He tried to grab the knife, but Nellie was faster. She extracted the blade and struck it with her elbow, pinning him against the back of the bus stop. Stab. The weapon easily sank into his abdomen. His diaphragm fluttered against his hand as it struggled to fight the blade. Stab. As she thrust the blade into his side, it hit something. A rib? She twisted the blade, angling it downward until it slid to his flesh completely. Stab. We're in quite the stabby mood. Yeah, reverse Uno, am I right? She plunged the knife in once more near his heart. She pulled the weapon out and took a few steps back. Rocco grunted, clutching his bloodstained abdomen with one hand as he pushed off the back of the bus stop with the other. He only made it a few steps before he collapsed, lying face up in the concrete. His chest shivered in agony as his breath stuttered through his lips. He's so squishy. Nellie clutched the knight's hilt in her fingers. She had to get rid of him. It was already too late. She had to finish him and make sure he would never be found. But as she stared at his prone body, her vision became blurrier and blurrier. Rocco tried to sit up, but he only managed to lift his head. He looked at his torso with curiosity, probing his wounds with his fingers and examining the blood with interest. He rotated his head, inspecting the puddle forming underneath him on the dark, cracked cement. Yeah, why wasn't the knife an option? Well, technically it was. When we went home, we did use the knife to make it into a weapon, so technically it was. Yeah, it's like, when we're mean, nothing bad happens. Nothing happens if we're nice. It's knife. Bleh. Yeah, when we're mean, it's like we don't do anything. It's like, that's the best way to put it. Like, we're mean, we don't do anything. We're nice, we start stabbing. So then I started stabbing. His face was contorted in pain, but he looked almost impressed at the quantity of blood that was coming out of him. He looked up at her, teeth clenched and his eyes filled with confusion.
Why? I wasn't going to tell anyone. I love you. I just wanted to help.
Nah. The acidic taste of bile tugged at the back of Nellie's throat. She turned around. She squeezed her eyes shut and swallowed hard until the urge of vomit receded. Yeah, we stabbed with our words or a knife, no in between, exactly. She couldn't. Raku gazed at her back. His words were choked and hoarse, accompanied by wet coughs.
It's okay, Nellie. I'll forgive you.
How sweet. The dam broke. She couldn't stop the tears from flowing. She couldn't look at him anymore. She grabbed a knife, her bike, and her bag and broke into a run down the road. The raindrops pelted her face painfully, but she didn't stop to put her hood up. Every time her energy started waning and her pace slowed, the Imdaraku's mutilated form flashed under her eyelids and she ran faster. Yeah, it is but a flesh wound. By the time she made it back to town, it stopped raining and the sun was high in the sky, ready to take the trip down. She walked for 20 minutes before she thought to look at herself. Luckily, the rain had washed all the blood away. She was just a girl wearing a blue raincoat, carrying a yellow sports bag, and wheeling a broken bike. As she approached her apartment building, the town was dyed in sunset hues and the sky was beginning to dim. She left her bike on the rack and entered the building. Her life was probably over, but she deserved it. She wouldn't waste time trying to resist. All she wanted to do was go home, lie on the floor, and not have to think anymore. Yeah, it'd still show up in a black light. The cops are gonna get her. She fumbled the keys out of her pocket. The keychain slipped through her fingers. Her hands were trembling, making the mundane task a little difficult. But eventually she managed to insert her key into the door. She turned it. The lock opened with a familiar click. Yeah, she had a busy night. However, before she could open the door, a hand reached around her, landing on the handle. Oh, Jesus! A hand with long fingers painted in streaks of brown and red. The hand tightened, fingers whitening. The handle squeaked as it turned.
I wasn't done talking, Nellie.
The door opened and Nellie was shoved into her darkened apartment.
Let's continue the conversation, shall we?
How could you do this to me? It's adorable, but do I need to teach you a lesson? Oh ho ho ho. Well, stabbing him didn't fucking work. Alright, so last ending. Run away! Nellie didn't think. She lunged forward, bashing Raku in the stomach with her shoulder. He didn't fall. He only stumbled, but that gave Nellie the chance to break away from him. She sprinted away from the bus stop. She turned away from the road, escaping into the forest. Yeah, it's a good thing he forgave us. Yeah, luckily it's not that explicit. Nellie tore her way through the foliage, weaving around the trees, the yellow bag bouncing on her side with every step, weighing her down like a ball and chain. She peered over her shoulder. She couldn't see him. Had she lost him? Her legs fell out from under her, sending her crashing to the ground. The fall knocked the breath out of her, but luckily her tumble was cushioned by a layer of vegetation. Nellie looked back. She thought that her foot had caught a protruding tree root. That wasn't the case. Instead, her foot was tangled in a sticky mess of sticky, gold-tinged threads. She started to pull at them when she noticed something out of the corner of her eye. It had rolled out and stared at her from a few feet away. Why did it roll out? The bag was closed. She made sure it was closed. Why?
Nellie.
Raku walked around Nellie. He put his sneaker on Junhoon's decapitated head and started rolling it around. Almost playful. We had that in our bag the whole time? Damn, girl. It's like, that just reminds me of the one medieval lady that carried around her husband's skull. It's like, I wanted to make a reference to that, but I can't remember her fucking name. What was her name? Let me see. Not Jackie Kennedy. No, I can't find it. Oh well. Yeah, it's like basically School Days. That's a better reference. Like, nice boat. Like, that's the thing. We were gonna bike off to go on a nice boat. Like, well, yeah, we had this figured out. It's like, obviously we killed the guy. Alright, rest well, Jade Bun Bun.
You've been busy, haven't you? You must have had quite the late night.
Yeah, it's like... Yeah. He leaned over and picked up the handle of the hacksaw, which had also jettisoned out of the bag during Nellie's fall. He dangled it between his fingers before giving it a few experimental swings.
It would have taken a long time using this old thing. You're probably exhausted.
Yeah, rest well, Jade Bun Bun. Thanks again for the raid. It could be a what's in the box. Yeah. He tossed the hacksaw back in the bag and retrieved the knife. He ran his index finger along the edge, scrutinizing the reddish hue that rubbed off onto his fingertip.
I wonder, was this your plan all along? Or was it an accident?
It was totally on purpose.
He deserved it. Jihoon killed Sana. He murdered her and dumped her in the woods like a piece of garbage. He made up lies about her and bribed his friends to cover up for him.
Yeah, it's probably one of those big gym bags he stuffed his head into.
What gives him the right? Because he's rich? Because his family is powerful? That means he can get away with whatever he wants?
It's like, yeah, if we have a hacksaw conveniently in our bag alongside a decapitated head, it's like, yeah, that's evidence of intended murder. Yeah, he accidentally fell into my knife.
He made Sana's life hell up until the moment he stole it from her. Even if I get caught, I don't regret anything. I treated him like the trash he was. Like how he treated Sana.
I have to admit, this is a side of you that I haven't seen before.
Yeah, he tripped and struck his head 17 times. Yes, Murray, welcome. Yeah, don't stick your head in there. It smells like the dead. He snickered.
I kind of like it.
Ooh, he's into that. The pale young man sighed before stooping closer to Nellie.
You know what you need to do now, right, Nellie?
And what's that? What do I need to do?
Raku flipped the knife around, extending the handle to Nellie. When she didn't take it, he forced it between her fingers and folded his hands around hers.
You've been doing all along, of course. You need to get rid of the evidence.
Yeah, they don't normally do that. When Nellie did move, Raku squeezed her hands, forcing her to inch the knife closer to his throat. Nellie struggled, but Raku's grip was too strong.
What are you doing? Stop!
Come on, you can do it. You're a cold-blooded killer, aren't you?
This guy's fucking crazy!
Deal.
It's like, we tried stabbing you before, it didn't work. It's like, now you consent? Nellie tried to kick him away, but Raku pressed his legs into her feet, preventing her from kneeing him in the stomach.
I'll do anything for you, Nellie. Everything I have is yours, including my life.
The tip of the knife dug into the collar of his turtleneck, piercing the fabric.
Stop it!
Nellie jerked her arms backward into the side, throwing Raku off balance. He released his hands and braced them on either side of Nellie to avoid toppling onto her. The knife dropped into the grass next to them. For a few moments, Raku hovered above Nellie, breathing heavily. She hesitated before daring to look at his face. He was grinning from ear to ear. He leaned over and picked up the knife before standing back up. He turned around and dropped the knife back into the bag. Yeah, it's like, you gotta get rid of the witnesses.
I knew it. You tried your best, but you're not a bad person, Nellie. You're not a criminal. You're not made to do things like this.
I still decapitated a guy, though.
Even if you cut him up and throw him all over the place, they'll find the pieces. They know when he disappeared. They know you're the one who was getting close to him. They know you're the one who saw him last.
Raku put up a hand on her head, ruffling her hair affectionately.
It's okay, Nellie. Don't worry. I can help you do bad things.
Yeah, I think that was the plan, was to ride around on her bike and try and spread them out as much as possible.
After all, I'm a bad person. I was made to do things like this. Or rather...
Yeah, she really did have a busy
person
night.
Might be the wrong way to put it.
What do you mean, sir? As Nellie stared up at Raku's ominous smile, her pupils contracted. She tried to scoot backward, but the webs caught her legs, preventing her from retreating. Raku had lied. You know me? You know me better than anyone else? Nellie didn't know him. Not in the slightest. Yeah, he's a spider. He's gonna eat it. Before her eyes, her ex-boyfriend's body began to morph. Oh boy, it's morphin' time! Woohoo! A thick, black carapace formed over his skin, and 4 massive legs sprouted from his back, landing on the ground and lifting his body into the air. His face twisted and warped as a pair of fangs germinated from his mouth and another set of eyes formed. Within a minute, she could no longer describe what she was looking at. It almost looked like some grotesque amalgamation of a human and a spider. Oh, Jesus Christ! Kill it with fire. The creature picked up Jinhoon's head, turning it around in its hands a few times before vomiting over it. Oh no, he's gonna eat it like a spider too. Gross. As the digestive fluid softened the meal for consumption, the arachnid began chewing it, gnawing at the flesh and cartilage before moving on to the bone. Yeah, eat the cops like this. It's like, I'm sure he's bulletproof. The creature's mandibles made short work of the red sinew and ivory shards. It only took a minute of Jihoon's half-melted face to disappear between the spider's massive jaws, vanishing down its gullet.
Done.
Hey, buddy. Nellie's shoulders jumped. She hadn't expected a human voice to emerge from that distinctively non-human face. It sounded like Raku, though his voice was slow and guttural.
Now, all you have to do is show me where you tossed the other parts. As for the saw and the knife, well, I don't want to eat those, but I'm sure we can find a good place to get rid of them.
Okay. The creature picked up some of the strands of hair from around its fangs and swallowed those too.
In truth, I don't like doing things like this. I want to be different. I don't want to be who they want me to be, but I can't reject it either. Because I need to get rid of any obstacles standing in the way of your happiness. It doesn't matter who or what.
Yeah, here's our spider yandere boy!
I'll destroy them. I don't want you to experience the vulgar things in life, Nellie. I don't want you to feel any more pain, or sorrow, or heartache. I'll do anything to make that happen.
Thanks. The creature repositioned itself closer to Nellie, stabbing its massive black legs into the ground too close for her comfort. It swung its head in front of her face. Four eyes blinked at her in unison. Ribbons of skin and muscle hung from the monster's fangs. When the spider's mouth opened, Nellie froze. She imagined those jaws, clamping down on her head, tearing her skull from her body in one sickening crunch.
Oh, oops. Kissing me like this wouldn't be very comfortable, would it?
Says you! Yeah, it's like, there may be red flags, but boy, am I colorblind. Nellie blinked, and the next moment, Rocco had transformed back into a human. He chewed a couple times and wiped the blood off his chin with his sleeve. His eyes glittered as he brought his face closer. However, when he was a couple inches away, he paused.
Can I kiss you?
At this point, I guess, but you're gonna taste nasty. Nellie swallowed and grit her teeth. She slowly nodded her head up and down. Yeah, this be a monster fucker moment. Her ex-boyfriend beamed. As he leaned in, she squeezed her eyes shut. When he pressed his lips against hers, her mouth tightened. Undeterred, he probed his tongue between her lips insistently. When she parted him, he drew her in closer, eager to explore every cranny of her mouth with his tongue. A coppery scent wafted through Nellie's nostrils. Raku tasted like metal and acid. Fucking disgusting. Happy ever after. An uncomfortable, queasy feeling burned in her stomach, infecting her intestines. When Raku finally released her, Nellie reached up and wiped her mouth off. Her ex-boyfriend didn't seem bothered, though. His smile was bigger than ever, lighting up his anemic face with a glowing sunrise.
Now you're willing to discuss the breakup again, aren't you?
I don't think I have a choice. Yeah, friends don't let friends pass up on monster fucking. Yeah, I don't think he's poisonous.
Because now, you need me.
I'm glad that you agreed to come back together. We're going to be very happy. Cool, I think this is the true end. Yay. Alright, now we're gonna move on to the prequel, which I think is only like an hour long. It's kinetic, it only has one ending, obviously, because it's a prequel. But final thoughts on this one, yeah, that was yandere rather than yandadome. It's like, you got the boyfriend that's like, oh, like, yeah, I'm gonna kill for you, baby, I'll help you hide the dead body, and I'll turn into a big old monster and smush you, mwah, mwah, mwah. That's all good, so yeah. Like, meanwhile, I'm also going to transform back. There we go. He's like, do you want me to kill? I could do the kill. It's like, sir, I want to kill. Alright, let's get the next one up. Of course, this one's in full screen. Like, oh boy, I love trigger warnings. Those are my favorite. I have sworn I made this the size it should be. Okay, now it looks correct. Yeah, this is the prequel to what we just played. They recommend playing the first game because obviously it spoils him being a spider guy. Like, that's kind of a spoiler. So yeah, like I said, it's kinetic, it only has one ending, so we are just going to go.
Where the hell am I?
The young man groaned aloud, fishing his cell phone out of his pants pocket. The white artificial light was blinding in the darkness. He tapped impatiently at the map on his phone, but it just continued cycling through a series of dots, refusing to load. A spider guy, fights whatever a spider fights. He needs a hug and a head pat. Someone please help this boy. He wiped the sweat from his brow and looked around. The moonlight trickled through the treetops, painting white streaks along the forest floor. There was just enough light that Carter could avoid tripping over his own feet. Still, he could not see through the darkness surrounding him. He could not even distinguish the shape of the individual trees. They all just looked like a single mass, smothering him with their shadows. An economics student at Tricone University, that sounds familiar, Carter was an avid hiker, taking an opportunity to venture into the wilderness as a way to procrastinate on his studies. While he was scrolling through his free hours at work, he had found a post about a trail that he hadn't yet visited in the mountains up north. Yeah, I think Carter's the POV character, and he's going to be the one that meets Raku, and probably get eaten by him. Why not, he thought. He had grown a little tired of his usual trails. It wasn't too far, a 2 to 3 hour drive on the highway. Unfortunately, the traffic on the interstate had been surprisingly crowded for a Saturday morning. After making it off the freeway and stopping quick for a sandwich, it was already early afternoon. This is a prequel. This is a prequel. It had taken him another hour and a half to find the trailhead, nestled off the side of the road in a particularly untrodden region of the forest. The sign was faded so badly that he could only read half of the letters. At that point, he probably should have turned back, but he pressed on. He had already invested too many of his precious weekend hours to not do what he came for. Yeah, so Nellie's not here yet. I did see, in like the devlogs, they are thinking of doing a sequel, so we'll probably see what happens to the murder couple eventually. Probably in the next Yandere jam or something. He was already lost before the sun went down. When the light disappeared and he was plunged into inky darkness, he was doomed. Carter waved the phone in the air as high as he could reach, praying that he could get at least one bar.
Are you lost?
There he is, he's a little boy! A young boy was standing in the shadows of the trees nearby, moonlight illuminating his ink-black hair. He wore a white kimono and a pair of wooden geta.
Oh, yeah. I was on the trail to Cherry Falls, but I must have taken a wrong turn somewhere. By the time I knew it, it was completely dark. Been wandering around trying to find the trail.
I turn up the voice. Yeah, let's make that louder.
Do you live around here? Could you point me in the right direction?
That's a little better.
Yeah, I can take you back to the road.
You sure? Awesome.
Carter hopped over a few protruding tree roots to the boy's side and started following him into the forest.
I'm Carter. What's your name?
Raku.
Yep, this is the Rocco. This is the little baby boy.
That's a cool name. How old are you?
10.
Okay, so this is probably a decade prior, I'm gonna say, since he's in college. They lapsed into an awkward silence. Carter wasn't sure how to talk to a 10-year-old. His sister was only a few years younger, and most of his cousins were older than him. Carter looked at the kid out of the corner of his eye. The boy was eerily pale, his skin shining like ceramic in the moonlight. With his hair and his clothes, he reminded Carter of the ghost from one of those Japanese horror films. The dark circles under Raku's eyes gave him a much older air that didn't match his childish face. The BL route that could have been, maybe. Yeah, not a yandere yet. Boku no Raku. The kid walked slowly, his eyes nervously flitting about his surroundings. Carter grew a little uneasy. What the boy didn't actually know where he was going. Still, the college student followed Raku obediently. He didn't have any other options after all.
What were you doing out here? Wandering around by yourself? Even if it's close to your house, it's dangerous to be out this late.
Carter's still quiet. Why are you so quiet, sir? Raku's eyes widened and then narrowed.
I was, getting out of the house.
Getting out of the house? Why?
I guess I don't like my home very much.
Fighting with your parents?
The college student's eyes softened in understanding. He remembered that age all too well. He had fought with his parents often. As an adult, those childish squabbles seemed so small and inconsequential to him now.
What about? Wanna talk about it?
It's hard to explain.
The child fell silent again.
How do you feel about your parents? Are they nice?
She gets mad. A lot.
Your mom? About what?
All sorts of things. My grades, and the way I act, and the stuff I wear. Everything. She's never happy, and she's always comparing me to my sister. It feels bad.
He has a sister? Well, probably 20 times the size. Like, yeah, giant spider mommy. Jesus Christ. Like in Monster Musume.
What happened this time?
Raku averted his gaze and bit his lip. After a moment, he looked up at Carter, hesitant.
It was a big argument this time. My family's not like everyone else's. We have a long history and a lot of traditions. When children are my age, you have to start doing your family duties. But I really don't want to.
Like, I don't want him to do my spider duties. Music's a little low, too. It's like... Maybe have this up a little more. Like, now that should sound a lot better. Hopefully.
Why is that?
It makes me uncomfortable.
Carter sensed that the kid didn't want to go into any more detail. He smiled.
Well, even if you're young, I think that you shouldn't be afraid of setting some
Yeah, it's like
boundaries.
he's got to start eating
If
people.
something makes you uncomfortable, you should say so.
It's like, you gotta start going out, kid. You gotta start hunting to get all the foods for the families. Makes sense why the sister's better. Yeah, she's probably better at seducing men to be her next meal.
Family traditions are important, but you are important too. Your parents should listen to what you have to say.
I don't think I can do that.
Sure you can. Your parents love you. They should respect your opinions. If you're open and honest with them, then I think that they'll understand.
You're funny.
At the very least, it's better than running off. You're going to make them worried sick.
He looked up at the sky, admiring the moon.
I used to fight with my dad all the time, over the silliest stuff. I told myself that when I was old enough, I was gonna leave and never talk to him again. But when I got older, I realized that he was just looking out for me, you know? I don't know your parents, but I'm sure they're looking out for you.
Yeah, it
in
seems
their
like a
own way.
nice fellow. It would be a shame if some giant spiders came down and ate him.
You have a dad?
Yeah, I love him a lot. It's his birthday at the end of the month, actually. I'm taking him to a basketball game. Already got the tickets and everything.
Como Demon King, welcome. How you doing?
And I got him a gift. A new putter to up his golf game. One of those really fancy ones. Cost me 2 months of my paycheck.
Wow, 2 months. Carter took out his phone out to check the time. When the screen lit up, his eyes brightened.
Wait, I got some bars. No, crap, it's Abby. Wait, pretend you didn't
Yeah,
hear
you
that.
missed the spider eating people. But don't worry, you'll probably get more very soon. After furiously tapping on his phone, Carter glanced at the boy, feeling guilty for his foul tongue.
What's wrong?
My sister called me like 5 times. Wait a sec, I'm gonna see if I can text her back.
The pair stopped. No matter how much Carter waved his phone at the sky, it was useless.
Can't get any bars. I'll have to call her when we get back to the road.
Carter started to walk, but to his surprise, Raku didn't follow. The college student turned around and reached down to hold the boy's hand. Raku's chilly fingers were trembling.
What's wrong? Are you tired?
No, I'm okay.
They started walking again, although Raku trudged so slowly that you would have thought that the kid was a malfunctioning
You
robot.
have a sister?
Yeah. She's 17 now. She wants to go to Tricone University, just like me. She was calling to make sure that I brought the conditioner that she likes. Don't ask me why she couldn't just bring some.
If you don't make it back, then what's she going to do? Is she going to be stuck outside?
Carter chuckled.
Don't worry. She's not going to come in until evening. I've got plenty of time to make it back to pick her up at the airport.
Yeah, sure, it'd be a shame if, you died before your father's birthday, and your death left your sister alone at the airport with no one to help her. Gee, wouldn't that suck? It's like there's actual stakes here. It's not Nelly, because Raku's 10 and they're the same age in college.
Ow!
Raku was squeezing his hand now, so tightly that it felt like his fingers were being crushed. The boy turned around and started dragging the college student in the opposite direction.
Where are we?
I made a mistake. This isn't the way to the road.
Rakuo.
The boy froze. Slowly he turned. Carter turned to look too. Hello? A woman was standing behind them, standing in the shadows of the trees. She wore a dark blue kimono, her hands folded so neatly in front of her that she looked like a statue. The shadows bled over her, painting her in darkness. She had a refined aura. It was a classic, timeless beauty, a woman better suited to being captured with the ink strokes of a brush pen than with a high-definition camera. Carter couldn't quite pinpoint her age, somewhere between 20 and 50, Asian ages. From the way she dressed and acted, she looked like she belonged on the set of a historical Japanese drama, not real life.
Is this your mom?
SpaghettiOs. Carter whispered to the boy, but Raku ignored
You've
him.
been watching?
The boy's fingers were shaking now, clammy and cold, holding Carter's hand in a firm grip.
Of course. And it's a good thing that I did. I should have known you'd do something like this. Ruin my efforts after I went through all that trouble to find you a good human for your first time.
Damn.
I'm not doing anything. I caught him and I was taking him back, just like I promised.
Stop lying. You're always lying. I saw you. You're trying to take him to the road.
Why you always lying? Carter's skin felt icy. There was something very wrong about the situation. He tried to worm his hand out of Raku's grasp, but the boy held fast.
Stay behind me. I caught him. That's enough, isn't it?
The consumption is just as important as the hunt, if not more so. You know that.
He's a good person. A really good person. He's kind, and he cares about his father. He has a little sister, too. He's meeting her tomorrow. If he's not there, then she'll be left out in the cold with no place to go.
God, he has a conscience. Like, it sucks that his parents, beat the conscience out of him. The woman sighed.
I'm disappointed. I thought that I taught you better. Yet here you are, so easily swayed by a human's guide. You just haven't seen the world yet. You don't understand. This man is wicked, like so many other humans. You found him in these woods, didn't you? Right here, trespassing on our land. acting like the entire Earth is his property. Such egotism deserves to be punished, doesn't it?
Can't I just leave?
Still, I don't think that he should die. Just for that.
Carter gasps, the hairs on the back of his neck standing on end. He stared wide-eyed at the boy. Was Raku being serious?
Can't he say that he's sorry?
How childish. Stop disobeying me, Raku. Why are you always like this? Always so impertinent and obstinate. You never listen to me.
The boy stood his ground, his voice tinged with the slightest hint of defiance. Yeah, you go, Raku.
I don't want to. You should respect what I have to say.
The woman trembled, her eyes glazing over with icy rage. Yeah, imagine offending a spider. Carter stood in shock, watching 4 twisted black limbs sprout from her back. Oh boy, it's Morbin time! She wasn't human. If anything, she looked like a spider. When the woman lunged towards the pair, Carter screamed, jerking his hand out of Raku's grasp. However, he didn't make it far. He tumbled, agony shooting through his legs like bullets. Lying on the ground, Carter wheezed quite loudly. The pain that seared through his calves was quickly replaced by cold numbness. Although he tried to stand up, his legs wouldn't listen to him. They dangled from his torso like tubes of jelly. He scrambled at the nearby tree roots, trying to use them to drag himself along the ground. No art yet. It might pop up in a minute. The woman raised an eyebrow before spearing the hapless college student in the middle of the back with one of her spider legs. He collapsed, completely paralyzed, unable to do anything except blink.
And as for you...
Ooh. As Raku's vision went black, the only thing he could hear was the disappointment in his mother's voice.
We're going home.
Rip. Oh boy! Carter was just just a decoy protagonist. Yippee! He's fucking dead and his family will suffer. Yay! Yeah, those noises. When Haku awoke, his head throbbed. The side of his head was damp. His mouth was swimming in the taste of metal. He coughed, blood spurting from his nose and lips. He struggled to get on his elbows, off the cold stone floor. He was sitting in a familiar room, lit by a couple of Kumiko lanterns. The flames inside filled the space with dim orange light. This was the basement underneath the Komode estate. It was a room with no name, no official purpose. The dark underbelly where the family hid all the things they didn't want it to be seen. It was the room where they kept disobedient children. Rocco had been locked in here on countless occasions, suffocated by the cold, damp darkness until he repented for his wrongdoings. It was also a room where the Komodes kept their prey captive until they grew hungry. Like, yay, suffering! It was the room where they fed. The flames from the lanterns flickered once more, shadows dancing along the walls. Oh boy! The Komode matriarch sat at the other end of the room, on the steps leading out of the basement. Her posture was impeccable, back straight and knees bent at a right angle like a posed doll. Her kimono was neatly folded with not a wrinkle out of place. Blood dribbled out of her mouth, down her neck. The underlayer that she wore under her dark blue kimono was flecked with crimson, the stain blooming like small red flowers in a white field. Carter was laying at the bottom of the stairs. His torso had been slashed down the middle from his throat to his pelvis. His ribs had been cracked open, splaying out like a pair of blood-stained wings on either side of his chest cavity. Inside, the student's organs glistened dark pink in the dim firelight, ripe for consumption. Like, hello, mother! Yeah, it's like ribs and symmetry. Smelled delicious. Delicious in dungeon.
Look, I got everything ready for you. Now you just need to eat.
Raku shook his head, unable to tear his eyes from Carter's contorted corpse.
I'm not hungry.
This is your duty. You'll eat whether you're hungry or not.
Why?
I don't want to eat. I'm not going to eat.
I'm not gonna eat it. I'm not gonna eat bodies. I'd rather eat my vegetables.
Do you want to humiliate me? What will everyone think, knowing that the Komode heir is too scared and soft to do his duties? That I raised a son like that.
Yeah, she hella evil. She dug her fingers into Carter's abdominal cavity, extracting a plump, dark red organ. She held it out towards Raku.
Come. Here. This is the liver. Truly a delicacy. You'll like it.
Yeah, she probably ate the dad. Probably, yeah. The boy didn't move. He just stared at the corpse's face, Carter's expression of anguish already stiffening from rigor mortis. Ragu thought about the college student's comforting smile earlier that evening and the gentle way that Carter had held his hand. He shuddered, guilt stabbing his heart like 1,000 needles. His mother sighed.
When you were born, I should have killed you. There's no room for males in our family, as you know.
Oh, really? You're one of those. Ragu pursed his lips. He had heard this story from his mother countless times. Endless reminders of how he should be grateful just to be alive. It delivers irony. You're gonna die from too much iron. The Komode family was made almost entirely of women. When the spider demons needed to procreate, they would seduce some men off the side of the road and eat them after deed was done. Yep, exactly. His dad's dead. That's confirmed. If the baby was a daughter, they would treasure her. The precious continuation of the family bloodline. And if the baby was a son, they would eat him.
But I couldn't kill you. I loved you too much. And because I loved you,
It's like, ew,
I went
man,
against everyone to keep you alive. You love me, don't you?
Yeah, let me,
Raku?
honey.
If you love me, then you'll eat.
You stink. But Raku didn't agree. He didn't move to accept his mother's offering.
No.
The woman lunged forward, seizing Raku's chin and forcefully opening his mouth. She pressed the organ against his lips, his blood dripping onto his face and clothes.
No! No, 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 no!
The boy screamed, cried, wrestled, scratched, bit. Anything he could do to escape her grasp. Her spider legs sprouted from his back and clawed at his mother, tearing her clothes, drawing fine lines of red along her skin. The woman seized his collar and threw him to the floor, crushing the liver in her fist and tossing it at him too.
Fine. If you want to act like an adult, then I'll treat you like one. Maybe then you'll learn.
Nya, 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 nya. Raku tried to crawl away. His stomach scraped against the cold basement floor. He screamed when the woman speared him through the thigh, pinning him into place like a butterfly pinned to a corkboard. She stroked one of the limbs protruding from his back, her tapered fingertips gliding along the smooth black surface. She grabbed one and pulled. Then Raku's mother ripped the leg off of him one by one. Jesus fucking Christ. She pressed her Geta into the small of Raku's back as she pulled, crushing the air out of his lungs. Sue? Yeah, yeah, bite her hand and eat that. Yeah, they could totally grow them back, right? Every time she took a leg, she ate it. As she tore through the exoskeleton, the sickening crunches resounded through the basement. 3? She only halted when he stopped struggling. He lay on the floor, splayed out like a specimen, almost completely motionless. His one remaining spider leg convulsed, the remnants of pain shooting through his nerve endings. The woman licked her lips before returning to the stairs. When she opened the door, she turned around one last time.
I'm doing all of this because I love you. I love you and I want the best for you.
It doesn't look like it, ma'am.
If you want to live, then you'll eat.
The door closed. Like, worst mother of the year. When the boy roused from his stupor, he was weak, blood gushing from his stumps on his back, trickling down his skin and staining the white of his kimono. He knew what his mother had meant. Spider demons like him could recover from crippling injuries like this, but only if they ate, and only if they ate something big, something like a deer or a cow or a human. In the basement, there was only one thing to eat. Raku tried to look at Carter's corpse, but he couldn't. Instead, he shifted his gaze to the liver that his mother had dropped on the ground. It shone dark crimson, the lamplight glistening off the surface. He reached down and picked it up. It was soft and wet, with the lingering warmth from his mother's iron grip. Spiders mulch at their shells and grow new ones. Yeah, that's convenient. It's like, oh boy, he's a spider boy with regenerating abilities. Yippee! He raised it to his mouth. He held his breath, and he bit down. He raised it to his mouth. He held his breath, and he bit down. It tasted so good. It's the most delicious thing that Rocco had eaten in his entire life. The organ melted in his mouth like a fine marbled steak, the tender sweetness spilling over his tongue. He wanted more. He wanted to lick every morsel of the meat off the floor. He wanted to bury his face into the human's chest cavity and devour him until there was nothing left but bones. He approached the corpse, reaching for the succulent meat along the ribs. Then he saw Carter's face, his twisted, agony-filled expression. And the boy remembered how happily the college student had spoken of his father and sister. Raku vomited. Blech. A liquidy mixture of acid and chewed up liver splattered onto the ground. The boy gagged, continuing to heave long after his stomach was empty. He crawled to the opposite side of the room, as far away from the corpse as he could. He curled up against the wall. In the darkness of the basement, the boy made a wish. It was a quiet, pointless wish. He had no fairy godmother that would hear him, no magical guardian that would grant his plea. That wish, like so many before, would go unanswered. No one was coming to save him. Yeah, it kind of makes sense why he's fucking crazy years later. A pair of small, pale feet sprinted across the tatami. They made small tapping sounds as they made contact with the floor, like droplets of water falling onto a still pond. Kaio knew that she wasn't supposed to run in the house, but the residents of Kumode household really admonished the precious youngest child. After being watered with nothing but Effuse praise for her 6 years of existence, the girl had little to fear. She spoiled rotten. Yeah, now it makes sense that he was so touched. Yeah. He's like, oh my god, a woman who actually loves me and, like, actually means it and is, like, nice to me and, like, cuddles me and holds me and lets me cry. Oh my god, I need her forever. Anyway, it was emergency. A super secret special mission. Rocco had been locked in the basement for 2 days now. When Kaio asked Mother why, Mother said it was because Rocco wasn't eating. They would let him out once he ate something. This confused the girl. Her brother liked to eat. He did all the time. Rice, meat, fish, vegetables, noodles. He wasn't picky. He ate everything without complaint. Kaio said that they should make Rocco his favorite food. Oyakodon. Maybe that he would eat. But Mother shook her head and patted Kaio's hair. She said that Rocco wasn't a good child. He wasn't like Kaio, who ate whatever she was told. He needed to learn a lesson. Yeah, exactly. He's like, so it lets me feel things? My savior! Kaio pouted, but she didn't protest. Mother was right. Why was Rocco being so bad? Still, she worried for her big brother. The basement was dark and damp, and it smelled horrible. He was probably crying down there. He knew that he cried sometimes when he was alone and thought that no one was watching. So she was going on a secret mission to save him. Just this once. The little girl ran into her room and made a beeline for the basket lying in the corner. It was filled to the brim with dolls and other stuffed toys, neatly arranged like a bouquet. She rummaged through the basket, taking the dolls out and throwing them to the side until she reached the bottom. There weren't many places to hide things in her room. Mother could easily find anything that was stored in the normal places. The drawers, closets, futon. Rockwood helped Kaio find this little hiding space, a secret just for the two of them. The bottom of the basket was lined with a knit blanket, decorated with small pink flowers. The girl pulled that out. Her treasure lay beneath the blanket. Ooh, candy! Kaio rarely ate dessert. She was only allowed to eat dessert on special occasions like birthdays and New Year's. Even then, she usually ate homemade mochi, jelly, or red bean soup. Mother always said that human desserts were filled with poison. Like, nah, just a fuck ton of sugar. And artificial flavorings. Artificial colorings. And a lot of stuff that's legal in the US but banned in a lot of other countries. Yeah, you know what? I think your mother's onto something. Like, ah, yes, she's such a sweet, innocent child. Still, the little girl's mouth watered whenever they went to the grocery store and she saw the candies lined up next to the checkout, encased in glossy plastic wrappers like pieces of treasure. Last month, Raku had ushered her into her room, holding a finger to his lips. He took out his backpack and showed her what was inside. When she saw those sparkling pieces of candy, her eyes lit up. They shimmered as bright as lanterns against the dark fringe of her bangs. Raku explained that he had gotten them at school as part of Halloween. Kaio had never had chocolate before. She savored every bite, nibbling in an attempt to make the candy last as long as possible. When he saw that, Raku laughed and gave her all 5 bars. Since then, Kaio had treasured the candy, always taking it out every once in a while to take a small bite. It was undeniably precious. When she took it out of the basket, she swallowed, unsure whether she was ready to give it up. No, she was. Even the candy was her treasure. Her brother was more important. Raku wasn't eating because the food wasn't good, but he would eat this candy. The mother would forgive him and let him out. I gathered the remaining bars in her arms. She ran through the hallway, careful to tiptoe around the doorways. It took her a few minutes to arrive at the basement, which was almost on the other side of the house. She looked down the stairs, a little scared. She didn't like going down there. She had never gone to the basement without Mother. She swallowed and crept down the stairs. She tread lightly on each step as if each one was a balloon that could pop at any moment. Her legs shook, and she clutched the candy bars in her arms so tightly they started to melt, rubbing creamy brown stains on her skin. I let out a sigh of relief when she reached the bottom. She licked the chocolate off her hands as she looked at her next obstacle. I was like, they're gonna melt at this rate. The heavy wooden double doors towered over the little girl. The light from the hallway cast a dull shine on the dark red paint. The handles were locked together with a heavy metal chain, as thick as Kaio's arm. She jumped up and grabbed the chain, jingling it, but it was no good. It was locked securely. She grabbed one of the handles and pulled, putting all her weight onto it. Slowly, the door dragged along the ground. The chain prevented it from moving very far, but she was able to get an inch-wide gap between the doors. The room beyond the gap was pitch black, like a paper doused in ink. Yeah, she's a very simple child. Simple thoughts. Kaio called out into the darkness.
Raku?
There was no response. Her arms were starting to hurt from holding the door open. Still, she held fast and kept calling.
Raku? Raku, it's me.
Aku! Finally, she heard movement from inside the room. However, the sound was a little strange. She didn't hear footsteps. Instead, she heard scraping, as if someone was dragging something along the ground. Something hit the door, and suddenly it was much less heavy. Even when Kaio let go of the door's handle, it stayed in place. She tried to peek through the gap. The angle made it difficult to see, but she could vaguely make out her brother's silhouette as he leaned against the door.
Hey, Kaio.
Why'd you say it like raccoon? Cause she's a baby. Babies can't say words good. His voice was hoarse and thin, like spider silk.
Mother said that you can't come out because you're not eating. Why not?
Not hungry.
Kaio pouted.
You should just eat. It's bad not to do what Mother says. Anyway, I brought you a present.
She fumbled the candy bars through the gap. Her fingertips grazed Raku's palm as he accepted them. His skin was cold, clammy, and slightly sticky.
Ah, you still had these. Did you not like them?
I did like them. I liked them a lot. But you're hungry, right? So I'm giving them to you.
Ew, baby.
Why did you nibble on all of them? Gross.
The girl's face flushed pink.
If you don't want them, give them back.
No, I want them.
Kaio waited with bated breath as her brother ate the candy.
That was good. Thanks.
I'll go tell Mother that you ate.
However, before the girl could run off, Raku stopped her.
Wait, don't get her yet. I'll, tell her myself when she comes down.
Kaio pouted.
Okay. Don't stay down here too long. I'll ask them to make your favorites for dinner tomorrow.
The girl disappeared up the stairs, her bare feet tapping against the hardwood. When Raku couldn't hear his sister anymore, he crawled onto his hands and knees. He reached behind to touch the bloody stumps on his back. The candy gave him a meconium of energy, enough to seal his wounds. When he was no longer bleeding on the floor, he examined the doors. There was still a gap between them. Moments later, a small spider slipped through a small spider slipped through the gap. It crawled up the walls, down the halls, and out the gates, disappearing into the shadowy forest surrounding the estate. When the Komodo matriarch returned to check on the basement later that evening, her son was nowhere to be seen. He fucking bolted. Yeah, she was savoring them by making little baby bites. Oh, cute. For days, Raku ran. He didn't know where he was going or where he wanted to go. He just knew he wanted to get away, to flee as far from that cesspool of venom as he could, to a place where none of the Komodes could ever find him. The boy had a few different forms that he could transform into. He could, of course, resemble an ordinary human boy. He could also morph into a monstrous human-sized spider, capable of biting a person's head in two. For a while, he transformed into his gigantic spider self, skirting between the treetops with ease. However, he could not keep up with that form for long. Kaio's candy had given him the energy he needed to seal his wounds, but not much else. Yeah, he's doing a grape escape. After that, he turned into his human form. Some passerby looked with concern at the boy who was walking alone at the highway. His tattered white kimono was drenched with crimson, as if he'd been doused in red paint. His feet were bloodied from walking bare along the asphalt. However, by the time the police were called, the boy had disappeared. After 4 days had passed, Raku could no longer maintain his human form, either. Weakened from his injuries and the blood loss, he transformed into his last form, his last resort. A small, ordinary spider. So small. Yet it also means that he did sneak into her apartment in that one ending. He couldn't run very far like this, so he found some shelter. He stumbled into a nearby neighborhood and huddled in the shadow of a garbage bin, weaving himself a small web to sit on. The boy wasn't very skilled at catching prey. He only managed to hunt a single fly in 3 days. However, it was enough to keep himself alive. This wasn't a bad existence, Raku thought. Good to sit here peacefully, as an ordinary spider, and catch insects every once in a while. You never have to return to that house or that basement or that life. However, his hopes were short-lived. Life on the outside came with its own harsh realities. One evening, Raku awoke with a start. Uh-oh. A pair of large hazel eyes stared down at him. In the next moment, a paw crashed down on his web like a tidal wave, ripping his small abode asunder. Uh-oh, kitty. Raku scrambled to get away, but he stumbled. He was still missing the 3 legs that his mother had ripped off his back, making it difficult to keep his balance. He collapsed on the ground, an easy target for his feline hunter. The cat smashed its paw on one of Raku's remaining legs, pinning him in place. For a few minutes, the cat played with his prey. He would let Raku go, and before the spider could scramble away, he would crush Raku's abdomen beneath his paw again. When the feline tired of this game, he started to swing at Raku, batting the spider around like a ball. Jesus Christ. Raku took the opportunity to flee, darting into the grass. He ran faster than he had ever run in his entire life, the cat's hot breath on his heels. He jumped onto the wall of a nearby house, scaling it as he dodged the cat's enthusiastic swipes. There! The window was cracked, sealed with a haphazard mess of duct tape. Raku slipped into a gap in the glass. The cat hissed, pawing at the glass before retreating. Hey, wait a minute! Oh my god, you guys remember how he was like, Nelly, I know how kind you are. Remember when you picked up that spider and let it go instead of crushing it? Look at the certificates. If you can see, it might be hard to see. It might be hard for you guys to see. I can see it because I'm looking at full screen, but it says Nellie Owens. It's like, yeah. He was in what looked to be a child's room, though it was somewhat bare. Some mattresses covered in a pink pink bed spread sat in the corner. A couple of animal plushies lay atop them. He did say he loved her for years, that's true, and they'd only been dating for a year and a half. It's all starting to come together. A small desk resided in the opposite corner. The school handouts were neatly arranged into a file organizer. The array of markers, pens, and pencils were all placed in a homemade ceramic mug decorated with a panda. The books in the bookshelf were meticulously lined up, organized by series. A couple of awards for academic achievement were taped on the walls. The room was empty. Rocco crawled up the wall towards the ceiling, hoping to find some quiet spot to rest. He was feeling so faint. Rocco jolted awake when the ground underneath him moved. He was staring into a pair of massive brown eyes. He jumped. He scattered around, finding himself on a human hand. The girl squeaked, dropping Rocco on the bed. He tried to scurry away, but he was too tired. He huddled on the pale pink bedspread, shaking. Oh, Nelly looks so cute as a little baby girl. Ah!
So you are still alive. I didn't mean to scare you. I'm sorry.
She cupped her hands underneath Rocco, scooping him up in her palms. She deposited him on the windowsill.
The window's broken, so I can't open it. But there's a crack there. You should be able to get out.
Yeah, she's such a cutie. However, Rocco didn't move. He looked outside. He could see the cat prowling around, stretching his claws. When Spider didn't leave, the girl leaned forward and examined Rocco.
Is it because you're hurt? You don't have all your legs. You're missing... Gosh, you lost 3 of them. Did you come in here because you were hurt and scared?
The girl bit her lip in thought before turning to leave the room.
Wait here.
Rocco lingered on the windowsill, not quite sure what to do. Should he try to run into some deserted corner of the girl's room? Should he test his luck against the cat again? His thoughts were foggy. His body felt weak, too dehydrated to move properly. Before he could decide, the girl returned. She was holding a knife. That seems to be her thing. Yeah, she becomes a boy to her. Rocco shrunk back towards the wall, looking around for some way to escape. She didn't try to stab him. That'd be kind of weird. Instead, she took out an empty glass jar and a plastic lid. Oh no, she's gonna put him in a jar! She took the knife and poked several holes in the lid before putting on the jar, testing the fit. When the girl scooped up her hands under Rocco, he didn't resist. He was too weak to escape anyway. She gently dropped him in the jar. The sour scent of pickles lingered on the inside of the glass, but otherwise it was clean and well arranged. Soft soil layered on the bottom with an array of twigs and dead leaves over the top. An orange bottle cap sat in the corner, filled with clean water. Yeah, she basically nurses him back to health. Oh, that's so cute. Rocco crawled around, poking the sticks and leaves. He dipped his fangs into the water. The liquid was cool and refreshing. The girl dropped the corpse of a small moth next to Rocco.
I think that spiders eat insects. This is all I could find for now, but I'll get you some more later.
Not the pickles! She brushed the fragments of plastic from the lid before screwing it over the top of the jar. Rocco looked up with little apprehension as his escape route disappeared.
I read that spiders can regrow their legs when they molt. I won't keep you in there forever.
Yeah, it's like, no wonder he fucking fell in love with her.
Until
Like,
your legs grow back. Okay?
he probably looked into her interests so he could try and meet up with her on purpose. Like, I would not be surprised if he did some research after. The girl tapped the glass a couple of times and smiled.
Don't worry. You're safe here. I won't let anyone hurt you.
Rocco's chest felt strange. No one had told him that before, that he was safe. He never felt safe. Not home, not in his mother's arms, not in his own bed. Even when things were okay, he knew that the calm was temporary. If he did anything wrong, no matter how small, that piece would be ripped away in an instant. Yeah, it's like, oops, accidentally on today. Rocco relaxed. The small jar was somehow comforting. It wasn't so bad being in this girl's cage. It was better than his cage back home at least. And so Raku's life as the girl's pet began. She took good care of him. When she was at school, she kept him hidden next to bed. When she returned, she put him on the windowsill to get some sun. She changed his water twice a day. Every day she searched for dead insects, making sure he had a steady supply of food. She kept a notebook where she made meticulous notes about his condition. His energy levels, his appetite, the current state of his legs. Slowly, Raku recovered. He wasn't overly enthused with the meals, but they gave him much needed energy. He couldn't regrow his missing legs. He would need to eat a much larger meal for that. But after a few days, he had recovered enough to turn into a human if he wanted to. Still, he stayed in the girl's jar. He didn't have a reason to leave. In fact, he rather liked it in there. Free house. In this economy, there were three members of the girl's household. The woman always left first. After waking up, she would sluggishly plaster some makeup on before microwaving last night's dinner. Before leaving, she checked that she had enough cash in her wallet for lunch and groceries. She wasn't allowed to have a credit card. Lastly, she would rush out of the house before the break of dawn. The girl left second. Her mornings were orderly. She woke up, brushed her teeth, got dressed, neatly arranged her cereal and milk on the table before eating. Made sure that the dishes were clean, her backpack was zip tight before walking out just in time to meet the bus. The man didn't leave. He never woke up at the same time. Sometimes he would rise an hour after the girls left, sometimes he would still be in bed long after noon. As soon as the man rose, he meandered to the kitchen where he cracked open a cold beer. He'd open the fridge, cursed, and ordered takeout. After that, he sat on the couch for another productive day of alcohol-muddled television as he waited for his wife to return home to cook dinner. Ah, so a deadbeat. The girl's life was quiet. She went to school, came home, fed Raku, did her homework, and ate dinner. If she had some free time, she would read through books that she had checked out in the library, including a few about spider biology. She also kept a couple of containers filled with soil on the windowsill. She carefully watered these containers every day, waiting for them to sprout. Sometimes she'd take out her video game console. A small yellow handheld PAL play. She sat on her bed, losing herself in the virtual world until it was time to go to sleep. The girl talked to Raku often. She wasn't expecting a response, of course, but she just liked having someone to talk to, someone who would listen. They were normal little conversations. Sometimes she told him about her day at school, or about her favorite book, about a video game she wished that she could buy. Sometimes she chatted about random animal facts that she had memorized. Sometimes she rambled about her dreams for the future. Raku listened. He liked hearing her talk about all these little things. They were different and new. He had spent almost his entire life at the Komodo estate. He never watched TV or played games. He was always told not to talk too much to the other kids at school. He never thought about what the future might look like. The boy treasured those chats. It was as if the girl's life was a flower field, and she was showing him those flowers, one at a time. Aww. Yo. On one chilly afternoon, the girl burst into the room. She grabbed Raku, brandishing her backpack eagerly.
I went to the pet store today, and they gave me a couple of crickets for free.
Yippee! Took a big plastic bag out of her backpack. 2 small crickets bounced around the room. She dumped the prey into the
Eat up.
jar. She leaned her chin on her elbows, watching him with anticipation. Raku looked at the 2 nervous critters with the taste. He would have far preferred meat, or anything else, but he couldn't complain. The girl was trying her best. She had no way of knowing he wasn't a normal spider that needed to eat meat, otherwise she'd probably get him some fucking wagyu. It wasn't difficult to catch the 2 crickets in the small container. Raku sank his jaws into both of them, snuffing out their lives with venom. Oh, so he is poisonous. He set one aside before beginning to take a meal of the other. It's like, today Mr. Spider looks very healthy. It's like I haven't grown back yet, but I went to the pet store and got some crickets. He ate it happily. Oh, that's cute. The girl smiled and took a notebook out of her file organizer. She carefully selected black and orange and pink pens before she began making her notes about Raku's condition for the day. She also made notes about the plants at her windowsill, beating me when she saw that they had sprouted.
You know, you aren't my first pet.
Yeah, give him some hamburger.
I used to have a cat, a really cute tabby. I named him Summer. He liked to sleep in my bed, and he always purred when I scratched him behind the ear. But whenever Dad got mad at me, he would hurt Summer. And he would tell me that it was my fault.
What an asshole.
I was afraid that Summer would. That my dad would. So I gave Summer away to my friend.
The girl smiled and tapped the glass. Like, on one hand, that sucks, but on the other hand, that was actually a good idea to give the cat away. Yeah, he's probably gonna eat the dad, be like, yum 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 yum. It's like, I think... Yeah, no, luckily the cat lives. It's like Summer's probably the one chasing him.
It's nice that you're so small. Easy to hide.
That was very smart, yes.
When I grow up, I'll be a vet. Then I can have as many pets as I want. And I can take care of them too.
He's so smart. Yeah, a bang sounded from the kitchen, followed by several curses. The girl perked up. She opened her door a crack, listening intently. She returned to her desk and grabbed her headphones and her pal play. She headed to the door. However, after a moment of hesitation, she turned around. The girl picked up Raku's jar and held it to her chest. She opened the door to her room. The cursing was louder now. The slurred, incoherent words echoed through the house like the growls of a beast. The girl could hear her mother's voice, too. Softer, her words of anger steeped in hesitance and fear. The girl tiptoed down the hallway. She entered the bathroom, locking the door behind her. She didn't turn on the light. Instead, she placed Raku's jar on the side of the tub before sitting on the tub mat next to him. The headphones snapped over her ears. The pal play illuminated, filling the darkened room with a cold white light as the logo danced on the screen. Raku chewed on the half-digested remains of his cricket, watching the girl play. She had a few different games. A monster collecting RPG where you caught different creatures to do battle. An action adventure where you had to rescue a princess from a castle and defeat an evil emperor to save the land. But her favorite was a much simpler game. Space Blasters. In it, you took control of a spaceship, shooting down a series of enemy ships and alien invaders. The game was endless. Every few seconds, new ships would appear on the other side of the screen. The round only ended when you lost. I really liked this game. When she played, she didn't need to worry about the moment when she beat the final boss, the moment when she would inevitably be jolted out of that peaceful virtual world. She could just play! Forever and ever, even when her fingers started cramping and her eyes began to strain. Her emotions were efficient and precisely timed. Almost mechanical. The result of years of diligent practice. Alright, rest well, Cosmic. You could just watch the VOD to see him eat the father, presumably. As soon as one row of enemy ships disappeared, the girl continued to the next, small white bullets mercilessly mowing down her opposition. As soon as the girl lost and the round ended, she would restart. The curses and shouting continued, but inside the bathroom, they were a distant storm. Here, the girl was safe, locked by the lock of the door and headphones over her ears and the comforting distraction of her game. Here, the girl could pretend that she was somewhere else, out of this house, out of this reality. Yeah, I know. Raku stared at the pal play, mesmerized by the flashing lights.
That looks fun.
The girl stayed in the bathroom long after the shouts ceased. She only came out when the adults went to bed. Raku started noticing strange things about the girl after that. He noticed when her hair and clothes were mussed, as they were He noticed when her hair and clothes were mussed, as they were typically neat and orderly. He noticed the bruises that blossomed on her skin, the dark marks on her arms and wrists. He noticed when she seemed withdrawn and quieter than usual. He could hear arguments closing from downstairs often. The screams and swears rang through the house. The only quiet place was the girl's room. Even among the dim... The girl could sit noiselessly, trying her best not to attract any attention. A stone in a storm. A gazelle playing dead in a dead of lions. The girl's sprouts grew for a short time, but it wasn't long before they became long and spindly. Soon they withered away. There wasn't enough light in this darkened room. The plants reminded him of the girl, Raku thought. A small life struggling to grow in a place that the sun didn't reach. One afternoon, Raku waited patiently for the girl. He started counting the minutes until her return. He was familiar with what time her bus arrived from school each day. In the distance, he could hear the door open. However, the girl didn't hurry to her room as she usually did. Murmurs emanated from the living room. Then they escalated into shouts. There was a cry of pain, more yelling. Not even the closed door could muffle it. They started to argue, if you could call it that. The girl's voice was so quiet that it was barely audible, while the man sounded like a thunderstorm. Eventually, the girl returned. When she picked him up, he could see the splotch on her left cheek, already reddening. Her hair was in disarray, too, as if it had been savagely pulled. She didn't try to talk to him. She didn't take her usual notes, either. She just refilled his water and put him on the windowsill. Then she curled up on her bed. She didn't move for a long time. When the sun started to set, she finally got up and proceeded with her routine like a robot, showering, doing her homework, eating dinner. She only remembered Raku on the windowsill when she was about to go to sleep. She was about to put him on the floor when she reconsidered. She nestled the jar against her pillow and laid down next to it. Aw, poor baby.
There were parent-teacher conferences at school today. There were so many cool parents there. There was a doctor, and a lawyer, and a scientist. One kid's mom even brought in homemade cupcakes.
The girl's gaze lowered.
My mom couldn't come. My dad didn't come either.
Aww.
My friend Emma hasn't been doing that well in school lately. And when her dad came and found out, he was surprised. He started telling her off right in the middle of the courtyard. Then Emma burst into tears. She couldn't stop crying. Do you know what her dad did?
Raku didn't know, but he thought about his own mother. He'd already had the screams, the insults, the derogatory remarks. He already knew that she would throw him in the basement, and when he had repented, she would cage him at his desk. She would monitor him as he studied until she was certain he would never make the same mistakes.
He hugged her, and he said that he was sorry. He said that he was wrong for scolding her in front of everyone, and he told her that he'd make it up to her. He said that it was okay that her grades weren't perfect, and that they could work on it together.
Wow, a responsible parent, who'd have thought?
I thought
The girl choked, tears welling in her eyes.
that was so nice. She had such a nice dad.
She buried her face into her stuffed orca, unable to continue. Raku's heart twisted for the girl. He remembered how cheerfully she had smiled at him when they first met. He hadn't realized how rare those smiles were. The man downstairs was a demon wearing human skin, just like Raku. A demon that devoured the smiles of the people he should have loved. The world wouldn't mourn a demon. When the woman woke up, she carefully applied a thick layer of foundation over the dark bruise covering her face. She didn't have time to eat breakfast, so she just grabbed the Tupperware from the fridge. She would have to eat later. When the girl woke up, she went about her morning as usual. She filled the spider's water and set him carefully next to the wall by the bed before walking out to catch the bus. When the man woke up, he was groggy, his head spinning from his hangover. That bitch had put him in a particularly foul mood yesterday. How could she even think about going on a long, expensive trip to visit her sister? Fuck, they couldn't afford that. Sometimes it felt like he was the only one thinking about the family. The only one with an ounce of responsibility in his bones. He heaved himself off the couch and went onto the fridge, cracking open a cold beer. He peered inside, searching for food. He cursed. The Tupperware was gone. The woman had probably eaten all the food from last night's dinner before she left for work. Fucking selfish. He had told her over and over to leave food for him, but she never listened. His eyes wandered around the empty house. The man's anger was bumbling now. There were no targets which he could offload his frustration. The girl was still at school and the woman wouldn't be back until the evening. He scowled and stalked upstairs. He opened the kid's door. The girl usually avoided provoking his ire. She had learned to be meek and unassuming, staying out of her father's sights. So when the man wanted a reason to be angry at his daughter, he had to go looking for it. Yeah, you get some takeout, like really now. You rifled through her bookshelf, her desk, or closet, looking for anything the girl might be hiding. Then you looked next to the bed.
What the hell is this?
Ooh, he's voice. We're about to hear his screams of agony. He picked up the jar, dangling in front of his vase. His pupils contracted when he saw the large black spider inside. Rocco froze when he saw the man, too. He had never seen the man before, but he knew. This was the monster that lived downstairs. The man pressed his face against the glass, his breath fogging the surface. He looked up at the spider intensely. Then he put the jar back under the bed. Rocco hadn't expected that. He expected the man to immediately take him and toss him outside or in the toilet. Yet the man just went to the door, shutting it behind him. A few moments after the man left, a realization sank into Raku like a dagger shrinking into his heart.
Oh no.
When the girl opened the door, she didn't say anything. No, I'm back. No, I'm hungry. Is there anything to eat? No rambling about her friends or a day at school. She knew that her mother wouldn't be home at this hour. Gonna threaten her. Oh, God. And when she entered the living room, she was surprised to see that the man on the couch looked up at her. He never did that. He was always too engrossed in his TV or his booze to pay attention to his daughter. As the girl crept through the room to the stairs, the man's eyes followed her. His gaze bored into her back like nails. She felt uneasy. She walked faster, eager to return to her room. As soon as she entered, she dropped her backpack on the ground and went to her bed. She reached down and picked up her pet, examining him. He was a little weird today. He kept scraping at the glass with his front legs. Up, here he comes. It's goofy time. The door opened with a bang. Disgusting! The girl jumped, nearly dropping the jar. She plastered herself against the wall as her father stalked towards her. He gestured wildly at the spider in her arms.
What the fuck is this thing, Nellie?
The girl couldn't speak. Her terror had its hands around her throat, choking every word out of her. She could only wait, trembling, wondering what her father would do next.
Why are you bringing this shit into my house? My fucking house! I got enough on my plate without you making a mess of everything, bringing disgusting insects in here!
Stop screaming! He slapped the girl upside the head. She tumbled onto the floor, head spinning, but she kept a firm hold of the jar. She didn't let it fall. The man reached down and tried to grab the container from the girl, but she wrapped herself around it. She huddled on the ground, protecting Ragu with all of the strength in her small frame. She was going to keep the spider safe. She promised. Like, yeah, she's not doing anything wrong. But little girls are no match for adult men. The man flipped the girl over, shaking her like a rag doll. He took her fingers and pried them off, bending them until it felt like they were going to break. When the girl's father had snatched the jar from her grasp, he held it above his head like a trophy. Raku was floating in the air. Clumps of dirt and twigs danced around him. And the next moment he was falling. No, he was plummeting. He broke the jar! Yeah, he's bullying a child. Like, what the fuck? Raku smashed into the cold floorboards in a storm of glass shards. He skidded across the floor like a skipping stone, limbs flailing helplessly through the air. He finally came to a stop under the chest of drawers, landing in a particularly large dust bunny. Before he could get on his feet, Raku jumped. Tremors ran through the ground like an earthquake. As the man stamped around the floor, kicking the glass and dirt everywhere, the girl shrunk against the wall.
Where'd it go? Fuck!
Yeah, ran away, jerk! He slammed his hand against the wall.
Clean this shit up! And when you find that thing, kill it. Understand?
The girl was silent. The man spoke again, his voice roaring through the small room.
Did you hear?
Yeah?
Fucking hell, stupid ass kid. You and that bitch are always making my life hell.
He gave the remnants of the homemade terrarium one last kick before leaving the room, slamming the door behind him. The girl clung to the wall for several more minutes, too shocked to respond. When she could move her trembling legs, she started to sweep up the soil in her hands. She winced as the smaller glass shards sank into her skin, stinging her palms. Fat tears rolled down the girl's cheeks. She tried to brush them away, but they continued to gush out, the salty water intermingling with the streaks of blood on her fingers. She opened her mouth. and she made a wish. It was a quiet wish, barely audible in the room's stifling silence. A pointless wish. After all, there was no one around to hear it. But the girl just couldn't keep her feelings inside any longer. Her fear, her resentment, her fury, her betrayal, it all bubbled inside, her emotions boiling over it into a couple of sentences, brimming with all the hatred that she had in her heart.
I wish he'd die. I wish he'd just disappear and die.
Wish granted! When she heard those words, the girl felt a tinge of guilt. She didn't want to feel that way about her own father, but at the same time, it was a relief. She had wanted to say those words aloud for so long, to give a voice to the pain that she had locked away. Regardless, that fragile wish didn't mean anything. It would disappear, swallowed by the room's silence. Those words would wither away like everything else in this house. Hi, Kitty. She looked down. The spider had left its hiding spot under the bed and was looking up at her expectantly. She scrubbed away her tears. She picked up the spider and deposited him on the windowsill. He turned his head, as if giving her one last look farewell before disappearing through the cracked glass. The man clenched the cigarette between his teeth, struggling to ignite the lighter. When it finally lit, he took a deep inhale, savoring the sweet, toxic decadence of the tobacco as long as possible. As he exhaled, the pale swirl waltzed into the depths of the night. Yeah, he's not going to leave anything behind. When the man lifted the cigarette to his lips for the second round, he squinted. There was a dark blob sitting on top of the garbage bin. It was too large to be a cat. He took a step forward. It was a boy, a scrawny, youngish-looking boy, wearing some weird, tattered costume like a hospital gown. Nellie's age? The boy perched on the bin, arms wrapped tight around his calves. He rested his chin on his knees, appraising the man with a pair of eerily icy eyes, particularly masked by dark bangs.
What are you doing, kid?
The boy remained as quiet as a mouse. The man sighed. He took a third draft, making sure to blow the smoke in the boy's direction like a fucking dick.
This is my house. That's my bin. Get out.
No. The boy didn't respond. Instead, he released his arms and let his legs down, dangling them over the edge of the garbage bin. However, he made no movement to jump down. The man scowled. Yeah, it's goblin time. He was feeling irritated now. He had enough of this snotty little brats today. He tolerated their cheekiness from Nellie because she was his daughter. He wasn't obligated to play along with some stranger. The man threw the burning cigarette butt down, not even bothering to stamp it out. He stepped towards the boy, seizing the child by the collar and lifting him off the bin. The boy didn't panic or flail. He hung there as lifeless and limp as a rag doll.
Get off my property, brat!
The boy's saucer-like eyes widened and blinked once as the man's spittle sprayed all over his face, dousing him in the odor of alcohol and tobacco. Up, there we go. In the next moment, the child's arms snaked around the man's neck, yanking it with ferocity. It snapped before the boy's fangs sank into the man's jugular. The man didn't get another chance to scream. It's like, let's go! Yippee! Rocco sat cross-legged on the fallen log, his dining table dimly lit by the moon's watchful eye. Ooh, nice. The man's body was draped over the log in front of him. Though the word body was probably too charitable, at this point he was a little more than a pile of dismembered limbs. Rocco wiped his mouth with his sleeve before using the claw attached to his arm to peel another strip of flesh from the man's bones. It was a simple task. The digestive fluid was had already softened his meal so much that it was The digestive fluid had already softened his meal so much that it was as easy as eating oatmeal with a spoon. He dropped the meat into his mouth and chewed. The taste was revolting. While the meat had the addictive sweetness that Carter's flesh had, it also had the undercurrents of chemical bitterness and earthy sourness. The man's addictions had permeated his entire body until his essence was nothing but alcohol and tobacco. Yeah, it's like, look, Mom, I did it! I ate somebody! Raku's family members would have abandoned the chore of consuming this rotten corpse a long time ago. But Raku closed his eyes, held his breath, and swallowed. Blech. As the masticated sinews scrawled down his throat, images danced under Raku's eyelids. The girl would wake up 5 minutes before her alarm, as she always did, sunlight dousing her face in a yellow halo. She would sneak quietly into the living room, afraid to wake the man with the hair-trigger temper. When she didn't see him, she would probably look around, confused. She would check the other rooms. And when she couldn't find him, her face would brighten. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't imagine this part. What would her smile look like? How lovely and radiant would it be? After all, her demon was gone. How happy would she look? Raku grinned to himself, half drunk from gayness and the alcohol in his meal. He picked up the half-eaten leg and chomped into it with relish, savoring every foul bite. It's like, aw, yandere's first kill for love. So cute. He was a bad person. A monster. But that was okay. Even though he had succumbed to the wickedness of his heritage and his biology, he had also done a good thing. It made that girl happy. She was free.
I'm a monster. But I can be a monster that does good things. A demon that kills demons.
Hell yeah. That's a good attitude. And that was enough. Even though it was past midnight, the community household was bustling with activity. The servants rushed to the entrance courtyard, jostling each other to get a better view. The young master was standing at the gate. His kimono was filthy. It was tattered and blood. Can you tell this is going longer than I expected? It was tattered and covered in a myriad of bloodstains, old and fresh. He lost his geta somewhere, his feet tracking bloody footprints onto the well-kept stone paths. Moments after his arrival, the doors to the main house burst open.
Where have you been? You...
Didn't I do it for you? Yeah, he just had to go at his own pace, pick his own victims. However, before she could continue, Raku thrust his closed fist in front of his mother's face, slowly unfurled his fingers as if he was unwrapping a gift. An eyeball sat in the palm of his hand. The yellowed white of the eye was laced with red blood vessels framing the dilated pupil. The bloody remnants of the optic nerve trailed down his wrist, swaying in the cool night breeze like the tail of a kite. Make it a yo-yo. Yeah, it's like a little gummy eyeball. It was a splendid trophy. A fresh eyeball from a human corpse. Unmistakable proof that he had fulfilled his duties.
My Raku.
The woman's eyes were brighter than Raku had ever seen. Her voice was sweeter than he had ever heard. She swept her son into her arms, squeezing him tightly, stroking his hair and his cheeks like a precious doll.
I was so worried, but somehow you exceeded my expectations. Such a splendid hunter already. I taught you so well.
Are you proud, mother? She lifted her chin and kissed his cheek. He flinched. Her lips were cold against his skin, with none of a mother's warmth. Raku's fist squeezed tightly around the eyeball, squishing until the innards oozed through his fingers like cold jam. Yeah, I didn't murder, yeah. The Komodo matriarch was normally frigid as ice. She treated her son with the strict professionalism that one would expect from an employer. She only expressed hourly affection like this on the rare occasion, a reward for pleasing her. Raku wormed out of her grasp, evading his mother's artificial attachment. He opened his hand. The ruptured remnants of the eye dribbled onto the stone underfoot.
I'm going to my room.
Of course. You must be exhausted. I'll prepare a bath and a meal.
Yeah. Her cloyingly sweet voice faded into nothingness as Raku ran into the house. He sprinted down the hallway, refusing to pause for breath until he reached his room. He slammed the sliding door shut. He reached into his closet and pulled out the heavy covering futon that was folded neatly inside. He dragged it to the corner of his room and swathed himself in it, curling up to the floor like a giant pillowy potato bug. Potato. Raku pressed his cheek against the ridges of the tatami, blinking back tears. He wiped his right palm against the front of his shirt, trying to erase the vulgar traces of his deeds. Come on, voice, we're almost done. Yeah, this is going longer than I thought. Someday, he would leave this house. Someday, he would be free, too. 10 years later, Tricone University. There he is, full-grown adult. Raku yawned, not bothering to cover his mouth. Last night's raid had been particularly difficult. A few of their guild members had to cancel, so they were forced to party up with some randoms. The new additions were completely novices who didn't know the mechanics in the slightest. After one of the randoms aggroed the boss and wiped almost the entire squad, Raku ended up soloing the final corner of the boss's health as the only damage dealer. It had been a jaw-clenching 30 minutes. He looked up at the book in his hand, the spider's thread and other stories. He wanted to hurry up and check this thing out so he could go back and start on his homework. The line wasn't that long. It was number 4. For some reason, the person at the front was taking an abnormally long time. He'd been chatting with the librarian for over 15 minutes at this point. Haku groaned. Maybe we should go home and come back later. His eyes caught on the backpack of the girl standing in front of him. Keychain swung from the handle. A small white and blue pixel art spaceship.
Space blasters?
Yes! He hadn't meant to say anything, but the words spilled out before he could stop them. The girl turned around. Raku froze. She looked up in confusion before twisting her head to look at her bag. Her face relaxed.
That's right. I'm
She
surprised you recognized it. Not many people know space blasters.
She laughed and brushed a few springy locks of hair out of her face.
It's a bit old, but that game was my entire childhood.
The girl looked up at Raku, eyebrow crinkled quizzically.
Is something wrong? Is there something on my face?
Yeah. She smiled. Anyone could tell it was a timid smile, a mask for her nervousness when dealing with a stranger, but Raku didn't notice. Instead, that smile struck him like a beam of sunlight, clearing away all the other thoughts in his brain until the only thing that he could see was the girl's face. Her smile was bright. It was brighter and more lovely and more radiant than he could have ever imagined. She looked like the sun. He was glad. There were no bruises, no dark circles under her eyes, no furrowed brow. She seemed happy. So much happier than she had been when he had seen her last. A strange feeling sprouted in his chest. A strange, almost hopeful feeling. He swallowed before opening his mouth.
What's your name?
And there we go! Woo! Yeah, that went longer than I thought, because it said 45 to 60 minutes. So that's why my throat's dying, but... yeah, subtlety is not your forte. But yeah, no, this was really interesting. This is like... I was worried because this was the same developer that did the Mine game, and I was like, this isn't yandere, so I was looking at these. I'm like, are these also going to be not yandere? But no, this is a straight-up boy yandere. Thank you for the follow. Domo, welcome. Like, these were two good, legit spider yandere monster boy stories. And they're working on a sequel, so we can see what happened to the murder couples soon. So that was cool. I liked it. Yeah, it's like games usually assume you read in your head. Yeah, you know, it do be like that sometimes. But yeah, thank you all so much for coming. Let me go find someone to raid. Yeah, thanks for stopping by. Thanks for all the raids and follows and everything. I always appreciate that stuff. I'll go raid this person. You can tell my voice is dying. Alright, good night, everyone. Rest well. Be nice to spiders. Because if Laura's told me anything, being nice to spiders will literally save your life. Good night.